Every Jaeger quest, you're like, why would I do that? Jaeger's like, okay, I've got the job for you. You take needle, you stick in a fingernail, okay? Okay, then you piss on your open wound, and then come back to me, take photo. And you're like, wow, you're a really dirty
Why? I don't
bird.
get it.
I have dark desires. I have.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jesse Kazam.
And I'm Gertie.
And I'm feeling Gertie.
It's actually one of the enemies in The Binding of Isaac. Is
Gertie?
Gertie. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, referencing the same gastroesophageal reflux disease.
Ah, that's probably where they got the Binding of Isaac enemy from, yeah?
Yeah, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in Binding of Isaac is all about, like, bodily function.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't like bodily functions anymore. I don't like the human body. I've been, like, up close and personal with my own human body.
How'd the surgery go? Was it, like, quick and easy, or was it, like, do you have to go under?
Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Yeah, definitely go under. What they effectively do is they, like, take the top of your stomach and, like, open up the little flap and then, like, put, like, some little, like, it's all laparoscopic. So there's 6 holes, and they have, like, robot arm things that go into your. That's what all, like, I sent you a picture.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
It looked like stab wounds everywhere, dude. Like
the
right next
stabbing
to
part too.
Yeah, exactly. It's what the stabbing would have looked like if it was the stabbing. And the doctor's sitting there with, like, VR goggle things,
That's
looking through.
So wild.
Yeah, like, manipulating these little robot arms, and and they basically, like, take part of, like, the stomach, take, like, the little claw thing, and, like, open up, like, a bit of that, and then, like, take the stomach and, like, wrap it through the whole of, like, its own thing around the esophagus, which, like, props it up, and it literally, like, mechanically puts pressure on the esophagus, and then it, like, stays closed. Prevents the stomach acid from coming
so
up.
Without any new hardware, they're able to use basically engineering to just, like, twist things around to force it to behave the way it's supposed to behave. That's
purely mechanical.
That's wild. That's super interesting, and all done via VR goggles and robots.
Yeah, laparoscopic. So this was the first time, because I've had surgery a few times, and this was the first time. I'm always like, when they put the oxygen on, and they're like, all right, count backwards, and you're like 3, 5, 4, and I'm like ready for the moment. What I want to do is I want to be like, okay, I'm awake, and I want to, like, wake up and be like, I'm awake, have that completely unbroken. And this was the first time that they were, like, wheeling me out from, like, you go in for pre-op and you just get, like, naked, put on the little gown, sit in bed, sit there with your phone for 20 minutes while you wait, and then they just start wheeling you down. You already have an IV in, and the anesthesiologist guy's like, all right, I'm going to give you something that's going to relax you or whatever. And I remember, like, going out of the room, like, 10 feet, turning right. And I remember being like, yo, like, let me get some of this stuff to take home with me. Like, and then I'm awake. Like,
and
I don't remember. When I had my endoscopy a couple weeks before this, as, like, preparation for this whole thing, I, like, was totally conscious up until, the, like, 3, 2, and I'm like, oh, I'm going out, I was ready until the last moment. This one, it's all
don't even remember getting wheeled in the room.
I'm like, as soon as I realized that, I'm like, oh my god, what did I say? Like, I could have said anything. I could have done anything. Like,
you broke the NDA and you said when the Tarkov wipe was.
Oh my god, I know. I was like, yo, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. You guys head to the ETS. Let me tell you all about it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
A picture. Nikita tweeted a picture of me with, like, the IV in and whatever, and he's like, what am I supposed to do?
It's gone so far. What am I supposed to
Yeah, this has gone way too far. What am I supposed to do? And I'm sitting there with a killer helmet lying in bed like, yo, let me tell you, Chronicles of Ridgey season 4, I know what's going to happen.
Bro, imagine.
But yeah, I mean, otherwise, like, I got out of the surgery and honestly, like, haven't been in a ton of pain. The worst part for up until basically today, the worst part has been the diet because
Oh,
it's like clear liquid diet, which is like nothing with carbonation, nothing with caffeine. I can't even have like you couldn't have yogurt or pudding. That was like too thick.
wow.
I could have Jello, but it was like living on Jello and chicken broth, bro. Like, and I'm the least picky person. I was like, that's gonna be no fucking problem,
Yeah.
you know. Like, and after 3 days, dude,
Yeah.
I'm like, got my wife by the throat. I'm like, let me have some pudding, you know. Like,
Give me the
I'm
yogurt.
losing it. And then so I also was on. They gave me Oxy, liquid Oxy.
Damn.
And yesterday I started to have I'm not sure if it was there's two different causes of like pain. One of which is referred pain because you don't really have like your internal organs don't have like pain receptors.
Yeah.
Your like muscles and your bones and stuff do, but like your internal organs don't. So very often, the same thing happened when I ruptured my spleen when I was little, which is actually on story time. We haven't talked about yet, but you don't really feel like the injury. Your brain is like, I need to tell them otherwise, like somehow. So usually it's in the shoulder, and I'm getting the same exact pain I got when I was 11 years old, which is just like it feels like someone stabbing me in the shoulder, dude.
That's
It's the
super
worst.
interesting.
So every time I breathe, I get these stabbing pains in both my shoulders, and it's like it's the weirdest pain. It's like imagine if the inside of like your muscle was like itchy, but it hurt. I can't describe it. It's just there's no relief. There's nothing I can do. And then if I hiccup or if I burp, that's when because there's like sutures and like wires and whatever holding stuff in place, and it's like, oh, it's just a stabbing fucking pain
is so
for like
painful. That's awful, dude.
But
you know,
yeah,
that reminds me. It's so weird, man. My wife had to have surgery while she was pregnant with our second child, which was a whole story. But she ended up in the days after she felt tons of like super sharp pain in her shoulder, like crazy, and we ended up going back because we were like, what's going on? And they were saying like, I don't know, whatever type of surgery it was and where it was, they were like, sometimes there are like little air bubbles that like get left in that basically like it's just like looking for a joint to come out of, and a lot of times if you sit up a lot, it'll just like pop out of your shoulder. And I was like, what the hell? Like, that's so awful. Like, that's just
they inflate your stomach your abdomen with CO2 to help with the laparoscopic surgery to give more room. And that surgery, like, they try to remove most of it, but there's a lot of residual gas that basically fills your diaphragm, and it like pools along your shoulders, right? Because it's like buoyant, and that's part of the pain in the shoulders is
like
the
gas
is literally
escaping.
Yeah, trapped gas. So it's and then yesterday it was getting pretty bad, so I took the Oxy. But the problem is that like I was just getting I wasn't eating enough because I was so sick of what I was having, which is like chicken broth, beef broth, and like Gatorade.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just need real food. And what my wife ended up getting me some of those like Ensure. Like the meal replacement drinks.
Yeah.
But dude, there's something in that that I'm like allergic to, and I don't know what. Like first of all, you get like the whey protein, like just coats your mouth. It feels like you chugged like white paint.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also like I was like itchy throat. My tongue was like tingling, like feeling numb. I'm like, yo, this isn't good. So I just wasn't really eating enough. And then I took the Oxy, which is opioid, and I'm, like, so that made me instantly nauseous because I didn't have a full stomach. And then that's why we had to cancel the podcast on Thursday a couple nights ago, because I'm like, yo, dude, I'm like, I gotta couldn't go. Like I had to end the stream. And then yesterday, the same thing happened. I didn't realize that it was the oxy that was making me feel nauseous until yesterday when I took the oxy again, and I felt like exactly the same. And then like I was sitting here with I have a fan right here just blowing at my face like this on stream, like, oh, you know, like trying to feel better. And then all of a sudden, thunder, and everything just goes all black. And I'm like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, screw
like,
this.
I'm not, like, fuck this. I'm going to bed. Like,
oh.
So I just went upstairs and, you know, pull out my phone, and my phone's connected to the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi's down, so I can't open up Discord to explain to the stream what happened, to explain to you like where I went. I'm like, oh, I'm done. You know, like I sent the message and just kept hitting reply and was just like lying in bed.
Dude, brutal.
Yeah. So,
oof.
Overall, I think everything's good. The symptoms, you know, the cough and everything. As far as I can tell, you know, fingers crossed, seems to be like infinitely better, if not gone.
Yeah.
The problem is I still have, because they had to intubate, right? They gave me a breathing tube. My throat is sore.
Yes.
So I am still like having to clear my throat and cough and stuff, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
Because now when I clear my throat, it's like my throat's clear.
Yeah.
At least for a couple of minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas before it wasn't, you know, I haven't been able to clear my throat for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, surgery, especially a surgery you have to like go under for and stuff, it's just gonna be brutal and take some time, but that's good that it feels better, and hopefully just getting over the hump of like getting like 75-80% better, being able to get some of the diet back, and then you're just like, okay, I can ride the rest of this out. But those first few days,
dude, yesterday I literally called my doctor after like my power went out. I called my doctor and I was like, yo, I'm gonna throw up. Like I feel so nauseous. And you do not want to throw up after the surgery. Actually, as of a few years ago, like if I had gotten this surgery 4 years ago, I would not have been able to throw up at all. Like it would have been physically impossible for me to throw up. Now they do kind of a partial Nissen fundoplication, so you can actually throw up if you need to, but it would have been extremely painful, right? Because it's all of the sutures and everything. So I'm like, I really don't want to throw up, and he really doesn't want me to throw up, right? 'Cause that'll fuck up all of his work. And I'm like, I think if I have some of the yogurt or pudding in my refrigerator. So he like accelerated me a week forward in my diet, which has been like, so now I do, bro, I had mashed potatoes today, and it was like, I swear to God, the greatest thing I've ever had in my
Gordon
entire
Ramsay
life.
Made those mashed potatoes.
Oh my God, you have no idea how good these mashed potatoes were. Like, this is what my life has come to, that mashed potatoes are the greatest thing on planet Earth. And to be able to have like yogurt and pudding and ice cream, it's like, I
can only imagine, dude.
So that's where we're at.
That's wild.
Still alive.
That is wild. Ugh. Well, hopefully it's net positive. Get through the worst of it, and then it'll be. Dude, that's brutal stuff, though. Woof. Yeah.
So what have you been up to? I heard Tarkov land. Everybody's been like, there's big stuff happening in Tarkov. I'm like, listen, I learn about what happens from Tarkov once a week from Jesse on the podcast.
Exactly.
Just like all the rest of you.
And this of all weeks, you weren't going to be like, hold on, Doc, let me catch the podcast. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, so we got a big old dev cast, Tarkov TV Live, and it was a banger. It was a really good one. They redid the whole set to look like a cultist area. Like it's all painted like red and black, and there was all the cult symbols everywhere, and like they all had like, they did juice time out of like these like goblet chalices with like. And he read all the notes from like this big like book. It was like with all these like cult symbols. Yeah, exactly. But it was cool. They love doing that. And at the beginning, he was like, "Dude, this is sick." But there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff to go through. It was a really good cast. They showed a new roadmap. They showed video footage of a ton of different features. They talked about a ton of features. They talked about features we're interested in. This felt like a really good. Now, some of the things like we have questions about, or I don't know, but like at least it was just really good. This felt like, it didn't feel like everybody was just like, well, what are we getting this wipe? It felt like kind of what we had been talking about. Like, they're moving the ball towards, that's what it felt like. That's what I told chat. They're moving the ball towards releasing the game. I'm not like they're releasing the game next year or whatever, but instead of just being like, feeling like we're at the table begging for scraps, like, what are we getting this wipe? Like, they're kind of coming forward and being like, here's how we're progressing the game. So he talked at first about like the tech patch, the netcode patch that they did, and they said on their end that they notice a big difference too. I don't really know what that means, but he said that it was a big stuff. It had a ton of network stuff, and they noticed a big difference. I noticed a big difference.
They probably have a bunch of analytics.
I'm sure. Like, I wouldn't even know what they would look at. Like I can't conceive because I'm so ignorant to game dev. Like I can believe that they have metrics to determine whether the network patch worked or not, but I can't even conceive of what that would be because my metrics are so skewed by just how I play the game. Like, I experience less desync. That's my metric for success. If you're just like looking at it, I'm sure they have, average RTT, average player ping, stuff like that. But my brain, I'm sure they have something. I don't know. They talked about the Unity update, and he was saying that they because that got delayed, we kind of like leapfrogged the patches. He was like, the Unity update isn't like it's not coming out yet, but he was like, we basically had a problem and we've already resolved that problem with the Unity team. He was like, we're not pushing it right now, we're not pushing it yet, but like we had a problem with the migration, we worked with Unity, and we'll get that out to you. We'll get that out eventually. So that was good. And then, here, let me actually send this to you so you can kind of pull it up. But they released a new roadmap. And the roadmap included two wipes. So we're getting a wipe in August, and we're getting a wipe in December. And then it's broken up into like all of the features that we're getting with our August wipe, and a bunch of features that are going to come either in between the August wipe and the December wipe, or with the December wipe. And then some more in progress things that we're getting like along the way, like the new matchmaking system is there at the bottom, which they're currently testing on the ETS. He said that he ended up saying that the Unity 2021 patch is going to come between the August wipe and the December wipe. And there's a lot here. It's like, it's dense. It's a lot of stuff. Basically, what they ended up doing was splitting patch 0.14 into two separate patches. And this August wipe is going to be basically quality of life, the wipe, top down. And the December patch is going to be like new mechanics, new content type of stuff. Does that make sense? And so there ended up being quite a lot of stuff on here. And so like you can go to their Twitter and see some of the things. I mean, we can. So I guess we'll just go through the roadmap a little bit. But basically, they talked. So what we're getting in the August patch is loadout presets. They showed a little video about this, but it wasn't anything in game. It was like a skit. They showed like a little skit video of like guys changing presets, but it wasn't any in-game footage. But we're getting loadout presets, and he said something about like it's gonna be great. The randomized loot container spawns, which that was the little skit they did in the April where like the guy went up to dorms and that crate wasn't there.
Yeah.
We still don't know. They didn't talk about it. They didn't say like, are all the containers going to move around? Are some of the containers going to move around? Is the loot inside the containers going to be more dynamic, or just the location of, we don't know, but that's coming. They did show, however, the selecting the body part with the hotkey. So it's so hard to show you all of these things, but here I have the technology. So basically what they're doing is, you know how you can hold R and scroll wheel and you can select what mag you want to reload to? That's how they're doing. Like I just sent you a screenshot. that's how they're doing the limb selection, is that you just hold your Salua if you want to. So if you don't want to do it, like if this is too complicated for you, you just heal exactly how you normally heal, right? Just spam heal your Salua. But if you wanted to, just by holding your heal key, you not only get like a breakdown of where everything is, so you can see if your head is lower or your thorax is lower or whatever, and then you can just like scroll and select which one you want to heal. So I thought that was...
I hope you can also click.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, if you just hold 3 and then clicked on which one you wanted.
Yeah, because honestly, sometimes like scrolling under pressure,
Yeah.
depending on like the sensitivity of the scrolling.
Yeah.
Like if you have a mouse that doesn't have like the click click,
yeah,
click, 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 then it might be a little tough. Yeah. I think I'd probably
that would be cool if you could click.
I would rather click personally, just because it's more like what I had proposed like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, was almost like the comms system. How when you double tap Y, it comes up. So what I wanted to do was just like double tap Y, and then you'd already, and it was a combination of that plus, sometimes this is like a thing that makes a lot of sense too with like controllers, where you'd have like a wheel, and if you like put your mouse like straight up, it like selects the top one.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you can move your mouse around, and it's always going to be the top one. So the thinking was like you double tap, hold down, actually, double tap 4, let's say, and then you just flick your mouse up.
Oh, because that's thorax. Ah, that's kind of cool. That'd be
double
a cool
tap,
way to do it.
flick up to the right. It's my left shoulder, right? Like, that would be the fastest way of doing it.
Yeah, because there'd be like a little bit of skill in learning where everything is, and then just being able to like flick in what direction you want. Yeah, that's interesting. Clicking would be nice because I also have my heel bound on my mouse. So holding that and scrolling would be hard because you normally scroll with your index finger. So I'd have to scroll with my middle finger, or you know what I mean? Either way, it's still, in my opinion, progress. I would have liked it. Yeah, that'd be cool. I like the way you did it. But what I like about it is more instances where we get to engage in healing or engage in the systems while keeping our eyes on the screen. That's what I love about this so much, is that like if you can get to cover, you can just hold it and scroll, and if you need to, and if you hear someone or see, you can like just see if someone's pushing you, and then you can just like cancel it out and shoot. You know what I mean? So like I like that it just keeps me in. Now they showed footage of it also with like CMS kits, but most people don't keep those bound. You know what I mean? Like most people don't keep splints. Although with a Grizzly that does heavy bleeds, light bleeds, and heals and fractures. Like, well, Grizzly, you can kind of scroll and like fix, oh, I've got a light bleed, but I don't want to prioritize that. I want to prioritize the fracture of my leg so I can run. With a Grizzly bound, you can kind of do whatever, which actually is kind of nice. But they showed that, so that was sick. There's like some other things that aren't on here. Toggling the helmet lights. There's actually going to be a bind for that now. But they showed footage of it, man, and it still looks like the flashlight shines straight down to the ground. It's just so bad. Like I watched the footage and I was like, this is so cool. Why does it suck so much? Like who wants, like literally in the video, he like walked up to a door, and I don't know if people noticed, but I noticed in order to make the footage look cool, he looked up a little bit. And I was like, why? Like you shouldn't have to walk up to a door like this to illuminate the door.
It should be in your
light. That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be illuminating the floor. I should be illuminating directly in front of me. That's what I want, because then I'll look at the ground if I want to look at something on the ground, right? And because it's at this like weird 45, you kind of got to do this. It's super weird. I don't know. I would love for them to change that, or let us change the angle of it before we go into the raid. But I don't see that happening. They're adding something where you can sell everything off your scav to fence in one button, but you can first like transfer anything you want. So they showed a little video of like the dude transferred, some good ammo and some valuables that he found. And then you can just boom, quick sell. And it's like, do you want to sell everything to fence for this amount of money? Yes. Boom. So I think that's cool. That's just like a nice little quality of life thing for scavs, because I leave stuff behind a ton if I just don't want to deal with putting it in my stash, or if I can't fit like a bigger backpack, like a pilgrim. I don't want to keep a pilgrim, but if I'm a scav raid, I'm going to grab a pilgrim because I can carry more stuff out, like vendoring that. And then somebody
and Fence gives more money now than it used to,
yes,
right?
yeah, Fence
So
gives more money, and somebody was saying that like this is actually going to bring a little bit of the like maybe check Fence. Because if somebody accidentally did that, if they didn't take something that they wanted off, you might find good ammo or like better meds or something like that on Fence from people selling stuff that they didn't care about, or just like didn't realize that they had left behind. And I was like,
I mean, you know what would be great is if Fence gave you like a better rate from that screen.
From that screen, yeah.
So you'd be more motivated to sell your, SSAP or whatever. If you're not going to use it, sell the stuff that you have. Maybe it's a busted armor, level class 4 armor, like a rat rig or whatever.
Yep.
If he gives you a much better rate than you would otherwise get, like let's say from Ragman.
Yep. Then
now, once again, like Fence has his own economy.
Exactly. Which I think is kind of cool. So I thought that was kind of sick. That was just like a random little thing. Sidearm quick swap. So, okay. So they showed this. You can go to their Twitter if you want to like see. They showed a little video of the sidearm quick swap. It's not quite as fast as I would have wanted it, but I guess that kind of makes sense because BSG wouldn't do it super fast. But they do show you a side-by-side of the regular, and it definitely does come up faster. You basically get like a little bit of a wiggle as your penalty. Like you pull it up fast, and your aim is like a little bit wiggly. But
which tweet is it?
So just like, here, let me see.
Rework. Chronicles of
It'll be farther down because it's one of the earlier things that they tweeted. So it'll be, yeah. Let's go basically all the way down. When you see the one with the helmet, it's right above that. But it's pretty cool. Once again, it's a feature that I've wanted for a really long time, and it's definitely quicker than before. So I'm not mad about it. I hope that this, I think the wiggle is a little aggressive, but I hope that this brings, I'm gonna attempt to like bring pistols as like actual sidearms as a result of this. And he said it's gonna be a separate bind, and I'm just gonna bind that to my like pistol bind. Like I'm just gonna make whatever the quick swap is. I'm never gonna want to use the regular speed one, right? You know what I mean? Because if it's faster, if you don't need the fast one, then you're okay with your aim being a little wiggly because you can still get it accurate before. So it ends up working. So it's a little bit faster. It's not as quick as like right now. If you get a malfunction, you can deploy your pistol really, really fast. So it's like somewhere in between. I wanted almost that speed, just like permanently. But once again,
it seems reasonable.
Yeah, it doesn't seem bad. It seems like it doesn't look that fast until you see the side by side and you see like how much quicker he can get his pistol kind of like on target. So I am okay with this. I like this. So what else are we getting at this one? So sidearm quick swap, the mother flipping upgraded trader UI. I know we've seen this before. They did another little video. We didn't really see anything new or different compared to the last time. I just like, I lay awake at night dreaming about this. I'm so excited. And I know we talked about before, it's not the most elegant thing. It's not the most glorious solution, but just like having all the traders up there and being able to swap between who you want to buy and sell, swap between your quests, just look at everything at a glance. Oh my God.
Did they also tweet that recently or no?
They didn't tweet that recently, but I can send you a screenshot. I'm literally like looking at it right now.
I like vaguely recall.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most elegant solution. And if for some reason to me, the guy up in the top right still looks like an N64 GoldenEye character for some reason. Like there's like 14 total polygons. But
What it is that there's no texture. Everything in
Yeah,
Tarkov has like mega
mega
like
textures.
grime, and like you can see all the fibers on the gloves and everything, and then this is like perfectly smooth,
Yep,
like rubberized GI Joe looking fucker in
exactly.
the upper right hand corner.
Exactly. But like, it's not a complete overwork of the UI. It's not like a huge thing, but it's 95% as good as a complete UI overhaul. And that's fine to me. The ability to just like up in the top right, stay on the sell screen and just swap between who I want to sell to, or stay on the buy screen, swap between who I want to buy to. They added a keybind for like confirm, like you put a bunch of things, you just hit spacebar and it does the sale for you. That's gonna be helpful. The fact that you can just go to tasks and then toggle between all the different things and have actually look at your tasks all like in a row and see who's got them. So this is like one of the biggest things for me, is being able to the upgraded trading UI. Muy bueno. Muy bueno. I'm trying to
Add an eraser right next to the sell button.
Yes. So that's if you had a bunch of things you wanted to sell and you wanted to cancel them out, you could click that and it puts it all back in your stash. Because normally you would just hit escape and back out and go to a different trader, but because all the traders are up there, that's like a way to clear the thing. I don't necessarily see it being used super often, but
Oh yeah, wait a minute. So is this gonna sell it to all of them or what? How does that work?
what do you
Like,
mean?
who is it selling it to?
Oh, in this picture, it's Skier. You see how his name is like white, or his thing box is white? So you like select the trader, sell your thing, select your other trader, sell your thing, select your other trader. I guess this could provide situations where you thought you had clicked Peacekeeper and hadn't, and you sold your thing, and you sold it to like the wrong person. But largely, there's not a
Yeah,
whole lot of overlap. I guess there is with like gun stuff to like Peacekeeper or Mechanic, but
Do you think like, so if you put like 5 things here and then don't do anything and then click on mechanic, is it going to be like, are you sure you want to switch to mechanic? You have unsold items,
I don't know.
or
My
do you,
my guess is that it'll just auto clear and put everything back in your stash. That would be my guess. But that is an interesting question.
yeah, these are like the edge cases that
Yeah.
like I wonder. I feel like they've never got that far,
Yeah.
but
Could
I don't
be.
know.
Could be. But I don't know. But I'm still super. I just think that, oh my god, just hundreds of thousands of clicks, hundreds of thousands of clicks, of needless clicks will be saved as a result of the new UI. I'm very excited about it. Then they said just like more quality of life features. Oh, that's like the next thing. It just says new quality of life features. Oh, brother, this is all kind of disjointed. I'm trying to go through it, not necessarily in the order that they talked about it, because they kind of jumped around, but I'm trying to go like what's in this patch and then what's going to be the next patch. He ended up saying later that in this patch, in the August patch, they're removing the sharpening effect of painkillers. Finally.
Wow.
Finally. He said they're going to
Wow,
replace it with like a desaturation effect where the colors will get muted a little bit.
Oh, that's so much better, dude.
So much better. I literally started like applauding. I like stood up and started applauding. It only took him 6 years. I'm so happy about that, bro. I'm so happy about that. So they're taking
just be aware though that like people are going to be like, oh, now they're going to get rid of the pixelation. 98% of the pixelation is because
you're watching it on Twitch.
The video compression, that has nothing to do with the painkiller effect. The painkiller effect makes it a little bit worse, but like it's not going to go away.
No, not if you're watching, but playing. I had somebody be like, I like it. I wish the game was like that all the time. I was like, brother, you have a sharpness setting. Just crank that bad boy up. Like the rest of us hate it. You know what I mean? So that's super exciting. We are getting the second iteration, the first expansion of Streets. And this is wild. We are getting the first expansion of Streets in August, and then we're getting another expansion in December. So I don't know if that's because the expansion they had the expansion they had originally planned they had to cut in half because they didn't have enough time, or if that just means they're ahead of schedule and they're actually like crushing out these expansions, because that'll be the quickest we've ever gotten. Like,
or they cut the last expansion in half and are only doing half.
exactly. Or the first expansion was actually supposed to be a part of the initial launch and they had to cut that. Like, there's a lot of things it could be. I don't care. I still perma run this map. I love it so much, and we're getting 2 expansions this year. Humongo. New equipment and armor. He didn't really go into that. They showed some video of the new guns. The PKM, the SVT, the AVT, the AK-12, the sawed-off shotgun, which it literally is called Rizzi's dad's shotgun. It's like the double barrel, but like super tiny. In like new like PM pistol animations. I don't know. But they showed some of the new guns. The PKM, bro, looks nuts. The SVT is like I guess it's 2 different versions. All I know is the AVT is a full auto Mosin. It's like a 20 round mag, fully automatic Mosin. And then the
PKM looks like such a meme. Dude.
Yeah,
nobody's gonna use it.
And then the
seriously.
PKM is, dude, I'm interested to see, especially with some of the features that we're getting later in patch in the next patch, in the December patch that we'll see. But the PKM, it's going to be a boss weapon. It's the Streets of Tarkov boss weapon. I don't think we're going to see that purchasable from the traders. I think it's going to just be off the boss, and I don't think solos are ever really going to run it, right? Like, it's the most unruly thing. It takes 3.5 business days to ADS. The recoil is out of control, but that's kind of what it needs to be, right? Like, it can't be like the FAL where it's like, oh, we need to buff the PKM. Like, it's got like, it's like a 150 round belt fed mag or whatever, right? Like, it can't really be that good.
Man, I hate the one thing that I don't like to see, though, looking at the PKM, because when you look at new stuff, you expect it to be like a lot of times either like in the new engine or whatever, right? And the first thing I see with the PKM is the stock of the gun going up in front of your, like, as if the stock is on the bridge of your nose. Yeah. Why is the butt of the gun coming up? The butt of the gun should not be coming up.
I know, bro. Listen,
why is my PMC holding it against their sternum?
Yeah, and you're gonna be even more depressed later. But yeah.
Oh, with the recoil, I saw that I almost vomited.
Yeah. yeah. We'll get there. But bunch of guns, whatever. Like it's funny, of all the guns, like the AVT is the one I'm the most, like, maybe not worried about, but like interested by, because it was kind of like the Vepr Hunter. Remember when the Vepr Hunter came to the game and everyone was like, oh my god, it's a super cheap semi-auto, like, DMR that shoots 308, M80, M61, and it was it was the new Mosin because everybody was running it. It's super cheap. They're scav guns. The AVT is kind of what I'm worried about in the same way. Is like, is that going to be like a scav gun or something that's super cheap and super easy to find? Because even with only 20-30 rounds, it's still ultimately like a full auto Mosin. So that's going to be interesting. But the PKM, interesting. Sawed-off shotgun, kind of a meme. I want the sawed-off shotgun so badly to be fit in my pistol slot. Dude, imagine just like destroying someone's armor and then quick swapping to that and just like double firing both barrels of Magnum Buck. Like, that would be so sick. The next thing is we're getting the first Streets boss, Kaban, which was funny because there was actually a little bit of a mix up. Kaban is currently the name of one of Gluhar's guards. So somebody died to Kaban and was like, "It's the new boss in the game." And Apple responded to the tweet and was like, we're removing him from the Gluhar's guards to avoid confusion. So he's not in the game. But I imagine, so he's going to be the PKM guy, because they would add the PKM boss and the PKM guy, the PKM gun and the PKM boss in the same patch. So Kaban coming. The next thing is the weapon stand in the hideout, which is interesting because, like, they kind of teased that a little bit in one of the videos they did in the other podcast before. But Nikita said that it is basically an addition to your stash size. Like you can place weapons in that, and then they aren't in your stash. Does that kind of make sense? So I think it's something that's going to be like physicalized. You're going to be able to go into your stash and see the guns, but it ends up being like pseudo stash space, which is kind of cool. And he said it's upgradable, so that's kind of cool. It might be cool aesthetically, you know, for the hideout, but I think most people will just enjoy it as like basically like a free weapons case, you know, like an addition to their stash that they can upgrade if they want to get more stash space without having to buy a case. It'll be interesting to see how much space it is and how much it costs to upgrade and stuff like that. But
does it show visually in the
I think it will show visually in the hideout, yeah.
So it is kind of like the Skyrim like armor stand.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like you can put some cool guns there or some big guns there or whatever. And so I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see how easy will it be to place guns on there. You know, will you forget that you have them? How big is it? But yeah, that's kind of cool. And then we get to some of the more like vague, just like random game design like things. Like the quest rebalance is in this patch. What does that mean? You know, who knows, right? I've been like, is this rebalancing the quests, or is this like now the reward is 8 Tashankas and the reward used to be 4 Tashankas? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
No comment.
No. But we're getting the and that's the thing, is like it doesn't show up anywhere even later. So like they've been saying that they want to rebalance the quests for a really long time. This is the only time it shows up on the roadmap here. And so like I'm a little bit intrigued to see if it's going to be a bit bigger of a quest rebalance, but I'm trying to temper my expectations that they're just going to change some rewards, maybe the order in which 6 of the quests show up in, and
it's going to be Mad Libs. It's going to be Mad Libs with different things in the empty spots.
Yeah. Because for as much as I want to be excited about it and want to be hopeful about it, what tempers that hope is the quests that we've been getting recently, right? Like, I'm like, oh, quest rebalance, that could be cool. And then I open the game and it's kill 20 PMCs while taking 1,000% extra damage, and if you die, it resets. Kill 40 bloodhounds, but they only spawn in groups of 5, and if you die, it resets. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm not super excited for the quest rebalance.
You would think that by now, right? Like, Nikita was talking about redoing the quests, what, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And this whole time I've been saying, yeah, we'll see every time they go and do anything, whether it's the daily quests, whether it's the new quests, it's always the same brand of a different flavor of the same, right?
Yeah.
And you would think that at some point, if all of a sudden they did an event and one of the events introduced like a really cool new quest style or type or whatever, right? Then it'd be like, yo, maybe they're testing out some of the new stuff.
Yep. And
then the question would be, is it Copium that they've figured out some new formula?
Yes.
And I would be like, yeah, I doubt that they'll be able to come up with more than one good idea, right?
Yeah.
But we're not even having that conversation.
No, you're right.
It's even worse than that. They keep coming out with more and more and more and more and more and more, and it's the same. And you would think that if in the last 2 years we've been saying, no, the quests are going to be different. The main quest line is going to, I mean, it would be amazing. It would be an amazing, like, slow play. No, what's the
long con?
Not I almost said long con, but then I said no. When you hustle someone, right? And you pretend like you're at pool for the first game.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that is called.
What's that word? Yeah. Anyways.
I don't know.
Sandbag.
Not hustled. I don't know. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they're sandbagging the quests, and all of the ones they're coming out with, they're gonna be like, we're gonna keep coming out with ones just so they'll be wowed when they come out.
I'll take a hit of that copium, man. I would love that. I would love that so much. And we've said it so many times, bro, right? The there's so many quests in the game that have those mechanics, the golden pocket watch, the golden Zibbo, things that would just spawn in the game that only spawn for you. You know what I mean? There's a few quests where you like get the key you need for the quest. They're so close to good quest design, you know what I mean? They have 287 quests in the game. 4 of them are really good. And like they just keep adding more of the garbage ones, and it's like, "Oh, please."
And
please.
a lot of the real good ones are the ones that involve non-lootable items, like
Yes.
quest items,
Yeah.
like the pocket watch.
And the
I still
Zibbo,
maintain the pocket watch is one of the best quests in the game.
Yep. And the golden Zibbo one is the same.
Has environmental storytelling. It tells you stuff about the characters. It makes you go to multiple places. It's not reliant on RNG.
Yep.
Because you can go to one spot and get it, right? Like there's just a million things about it that are like,
Yep.
whoever did the like second quest in the goddamn game,
Yep.
hit it out of the park.
The pocket watch quest, delivery from the past, and the golden Zibbo quest. Now, I'm not saying delivery from the past is such a hard quest early on, but it's hard in a good way. You have to go here, you get a thing, then you have to go here and like plant the thing, and you're interacting with multiple maps. That's a hard quest. I don't think, especially if you're new to Tarkov, I don't think all quests should be that hard, but it's good quest design. And similar with the golden pocket watch, the golden Zibbo. You have to get the key, and then you go into customs, and you go to dorms, and you open the room, and then you find the Zibbo, and then you go plant it somewhere else. Or that might be another quest. There's a quest where you have to find a thing and then plant it somewhere else on that map. Once again, forcing you to like stay in raids a little bit longer, interact. All 3 of those quests were in the game in 2017 when I bought it. And we have no quests like that, no new quests like that in 2023. And so, yeah, there's a lot of, they have a lot of the tools. This is one of the few times this isn't like Jesse and Veritas just being like, well, why don't they just do it this way? And it would require extra work. These things are in the game. They actually have these things. Oh, there's another one of those quests where you go to the trunk of the car and there's a flash drive in there and you have to go place that flash drive. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, some of these early quests. So I hope that they took some of that feedback and there's more stuff like that in the game that can be challenging in a way that's not like just do this thing, just bash your head against the wall doing this thing over and over and over and over again, a la setup, right, where you shotgun kill people with shotguns. You just go customs. You're just like going customs with shotguns, ensuring these shotguns, and as soon as you're done with the quest, you don't need the shotguns anymore. Or
it's completely arbitrary. The good ones involve interacting with the world
exactly
and the universe in unique and interesting ways that are not just completely and utterly arbitrary. Right? They tell stories. They make you do things that can be done in a ton of different ways. You can just run right to the tanker, blinders on, and hope, or you can spend 25 minutes clearing every inch of the place, right? You could throw smokes down if you want. Nobody's probably ever done that, right? But like there's just so many ways that you can do these quests, and the restrictions and the requirements are not arbitrary, and they're not restrictive and annoying, like having to buy something, wear something, use something.
Yeah, I mean, think about some of the most toxic quests. You have like setup, once again, just bash your head against the wall. You've got capturing outposts when they made that required for Kappa, where that's just literally just sit at a random spot for days and hope to find people. And then you have some quests like there's the healthcare privacy quest where the key is just super rare. And just everybody that plays the game just full stops at that quest on day 3. And then just like it's either they never find it because they don't get to level 15, or they get to level 15 and spend 6. Like the challenge of that healthcare privacy quest is just get to level 15 and spend 600,000 rubles on the key. That's the challenge of the quest, right? And that's not challenging. That's not challenging in an engaging way, right? That's not good quest design. Just pay 600,000 rubles for this key.
No, but you know what people will say to justify it? Oh, well, dude, it's a money sink.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's they thought about this ninehead, years in advance. They're like, yo, we're gonna need an average of 500,000 ruble money
Yeah.
sink around like level
No.
17 for all of the PMCs to perfectly balance the economy. So out of here. It's
Yep.
not a money sink. That's not the point of it.
Yep.
That was never the intentional design.
Yep. It was just a
Somebody mentioned
byproduct.
Yeah, someone mentioned the Untar body armor and helmet. In my opinion, this might be a hot take. I love that quest.
Yeah.
I think that like the armor should be cheaper. They should probably give you like 2 or 3 sets of armor and helmets.
100%.
But otherwise, it makes perfect sense in the game. You don't ask like why.
Yep.
Every Jaeger quest, you're like, why would I do that? Jaeger's like, okay, I've got the job for you. You take needle, you stick in a fingernail, okay? Okay, then you piss on your open wound, and then come back to me, take photo. And you're like, wow, you're a really
Why?
dirty
I
bird.
don't get it.
I have dark desires. I have special websites people subscribe to. They pay for special pictures.
No, for
here,
sure. Quests like that, like in my opinion, I love Shooter Born in Heaven. I think that's a good quest. There's like, he's like, show me that you're a good sniper, right? I think the Untar quest makes sense in the lore. Even setup makes sense in the lore, where he's like, dress up as a, actually I haven't read the flavors. That one was like dress up as a scav, but then kill the scavs. The Untar one, like there's like, that's sabotage. He was like, dress up as these guys, go kill all these dudes. I want them to think that these guys are doing it. That's actually kind of a cool quest. It's just balancing. You're exactly right. How many of X do I need to kill? I don't mind when they're like kill scavs, because scavs, there's consistency. You can find scavs every raid, and if you're pretty skilled, you might not need. So I like the idea of if that's the quest, you get 3 sets, right? 3 helmets, 3 armors, and then you can buy more if you need more. And we need to balance, you know, what the quest is, what you're given, and how many scavs or PMCs you have to kill, XYZ. But I would much rather go do this with this armor or this helmet than go do this with this gun. Like, why do I need 14 headshots with a shotgun? If you need me to kill some dudes, let me take whatever gun I want to kill some dudes, right? Like, why do I have to get headshots with a shotgun wearing this armor? You know what I mean? Like, that stuff, when you're forced to choose a gun, that's so much more restrictive than having to use like an armor or something. But I do like the idea of them giving you some of the armors if you're going to do that. Like, here's the things you need for the task.
In some cases, it could make sense. Like when I proposed a redesign of Shooterborn, when you read the flavor text, if someone says, I want, like what he's saying is, you need to prove to me that you can handle multiple situations, multiple, multiple enemies, blah, 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 prove to me that you're an operator.
Yeah.
Well, to me, getting 12 or 15 headshots over 100 meters on all these different places, it's like dumb and arbitrary. But what I proposed was, and it was a combination of like the flavor text from Shooterborn plus the logic of Gunsmith.
Oh yeah.
Which was, you want to prove you're good? You need to build an SMG with this requirement. And so what I had was build an SMG with this much ergo.
Yeah.
And kill Killa, for example. And then so there were 3 bullet points. And then it was build a DMR and then kill Rashala or, it was something, maybe PMCs, I don't know, from over 80 meters.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a headshot. It's just you kill them. Who cares? But with a DMR, and if it was a long distance shot, then you're going to want to use like a scope, right?
Yeah.
The SMG. And then another one was with some sort of assault rifle under a certain amount of ergo and kill like 10 scavs, or whatever, right? But it was like, you're building guns, but you're building them to use them and for a purpose that makes sense, and that proves that you can do close quarters, that you can do long distance, and that you can do medium.
Yeah.
That's like, to me, the perfect marriage of all of the essence of Gunsmith and of Shooterborn put together.
Yeah. I like that. And then they even added some, going back to the healthcare privacy thing, where like the difficulty of the quest is just the key. We've talked a lot about how like the key economy is just super scuffed, but like they even did some of the things with like I like what they did where the unknown key permanently spawns on that dead scav in customs in the bush. And the machinery key for the golden pocket watch permanently spawns in the jacket on third story dorms. So like stuff like that where they could marry that with a little, if they wanted a quest to be more difficult, some of the later Lightkeeper tasks are like you had to find some things, like, because I only did it to get the little transmitter so I could go out. That's as far as I got with the quest. And some of the ones you need closer up is like you have to find a flash drive, and there's 38 different spawns on Lighthouse for the flash drive. That's too many. But that idea of like, you want the healthcare privacy key, right? Like it spawns on Shoreline in one of 5 different places. So now it's forcing you to traverse the map. You can mix that with a little delivery from the past if you wanted a harder version of it, where like this key is on reserve in one of 3 places. It's always going to be there.
0 on room 118, but I couldn't remember if it was east or west.
Exactly.
So it's like, you know, like
so now you have to go to a map, find the key that always spawns, and then go do your quest. And that's difficult in a sense that like it might take a few tries, but every raid you go into or every time you attempt, you have the opportunity to succeed. As opposed to just like, I have to go farm money, spend 600,000 rubles instead of buying a junk box, buy this key that has 40 uses, and I never need to go into this room again, ever, and I also can't drop it from my friends. Like, the challenge of that just seems weird, you know what I mean? As opposed to setting up, and you could have levels of difficulty, right? Like the pocket watch is a relatively... You could just have levels of difficulty where how many spawns does the key have, or how many uses does the key have, or does it spawn on the same map or not. But there's different dials to turn there that all still result in like every time you embark on this quest, you have the opportunity to succeed. Instead of like, well, I just can't do this quest. I have to stop because I need more money to get the key. You know what I mean? Or I don't have any friends, or like post in a Discord. You know, how you know, everybody's like, oh, it's a money sink. Yeah, but how hardcore is it? Because what we're really doing is posting in our friends' Discords like, hey, does anyone have this key? Yeah, I'll take you there. And then it wasn't even the money sink, right? Like we just ended up getting around it. Like, so I don't know.
Bro, here's the thing. Everything we just talked about, I promise you, it's not a single person at BSG thinks like this.
Yeah, and it's not happening.
This is not how they think. This is not how they think.
So, quest rebalance. They didn't talk about it. I don't know what it means, but we're getting a quest rebalance. Some of the other more vague things like glass shader optimization, they mentioned that. They were trying to like work with like semi-transparent and transparent things. There's lots of bugs on streets where if you like...
too?
That would be nice. I doubt it. There's lots of bugs on streets where if you're like stand in a certain place and like lean, all of the windows of the building you look at disappear and you can just like see through. You know what I mean? Like there's some of the trains where if you like lean, the glass just like disappears and then comes back. So glass shader optimization, some stuff like that. Light source processing optimization. Now, I was full copium that I hoped that they meant interchange, but later in the podcast, they were like, Demirko was playing and he was like, ask some questions. And one of the questions was interchange update, please. And Nikita was like, yeah, with the lighting update, it's going to be better. So the only mention of lighting on this entire roadmap is this light source processing optimization. And then Nikita later said that interchange is going to look better as a result of the lighting update. So I'm a little hopeful about this. Like, I'm sure the lighting on all the maps could get better, but interchange is obviously the one that's like, OMG, please God, please, please God. So we might get a little bit of better interchange lighting. I'm coping. Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Various technical and functional adjustments. Yep. AI behavior improvements. Totally. Yep. And then you see like a weirdly placed directly just through the middle. We have new location. I imagine that's Terminal, because I think in the past he said that Terminal was the only other map that is required to like send the game to 1.0, like Streets and Terminal, because Terminal plays a part in the storyline quest, which we didn't mention the storyline quest at all. So I would imagine it's Terminal. I'm at the point where I just have doubts that they're like surprising us with like it's town or suburbs, right? Like, and to me, all those maps are off the table. In there, they're like, what maps do we need to go 1.0? So I imagine new location is terminal. You know what I mean? So we'll see. So that is everything that's coming in the that is everything that is coming in the August wipe. He said he didn't know exactly when in August it's going to be, but it's going to be coming in August. He said I mean, he seemed like they were pretty on top of the ball with what's going on. I don't know. We'll see. So before we move on to like the other wipe, I think people aren't going to I think people are going to end up, well, people are always going to complain. That's a given. I think people will complain that it's not a very content rich patch. I am personally very excited because there's just tons of quality of life stuff here. Tons of stuff directly, and not just things like sometimes they've done quality of life stuff that like nobody ever used. You know what I mean? Or the quality of life didn't come in a way the community would have asked for. So many of these things are directly things that the community's been asking for a long time, like removing the pixelation effect. It's not listed here, but they showed it in one of the videos. Double click to use consumables. So you can double click food. You can double click your ibuprofen in your secure container. It's going to use it. That's going to help a lot. The new trader UI, the sidearm quick swap is something that the community's wanted for a long time. Selling stuff, being able to heal whatever body part you want while you're in the raid, while you're looking at your stuff. So I'm super excited about it. And then in addition, we're getting the Streets update, the Streets expansion, which I just love that map so much. And then, of course, all of the more vague stuff like AI behavior and light source. Like, who knows what that means? But personally, I'm excited. This feels like a lot of quality of life stuff. And the biggest thing for me that we've been talking about is like this next wipe needs to work. You know what I mean? It needs to be functional. And the difference between where Tarkov was at this wipe and where it is right now is so vast. And if they can keep the momentum of where it is right now rolling by putting out a wipe that answers a ton of things that the community's asked for in terms of quality of life and doesn't really break anything. Yeah, it's not a ton of like brand new, the new recoil or the new armor hitboxes. It's not a, content, but it makes everybody's interaction with the game easier, more fluid, and it's a wipe that feels smooth. That it's not invisible players. It's not 7 FPS on streets with all the rubber banding. So I don't know. I'm hopeful that this wipe it's a good balance between not being so many things that it's going to break the game, but enough things that makes everybody that interacts with the game more fluid and better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean also like how they end up pulling this off too is going to be telling for the future, right? Like if they want any semblance of a hope of pulling off 1.0, like at some point they need to start putting out more updates that don't
break everything.
That don't take steps backwards.
Yes. Yeah.
When when 1.0 comes out, 1.1, like you want to have
that's a good
finished house with a finished foundation, and you want to be able to build off of that. You don't want to have a million projects half done.
Yeah.
All rickety and janky, right? Like
that's a good point. Yeah.
Otherwise, then the future of Tarkov is going to be so mired in performance issues and
so true,
needing to have bug fixes. And
because in other games that's not really the expectation. I mean, unfortunately it's becoming the expectation a little bit more. Like Call of Duty, their season 4 update, like everybody's performance got so much worse. Like I saw a ton of people Call of Duty, so unfortunately that is. But traditionally, if you paid for a finished game, when an update was coming, you were always excited. You were never worried like, oh no. So like Tarkov does need to start establishing that precedent that we can update the game and not break everything or not take a bunch of steps backwards in this direction. So that being said, I'm okay with the balance of this wipe. I'm super excited. I think the interaction with the game is going to be so much more fluid. I'm super excited to see the results of the netcode patch. I've been having a ton of fun with. What does that feel like early wipe? When I don't have elite strength and endurance, when I don't have all elite skills, when I don't have weapon mastery, when I don't have 30 recoil control, I'm excited to test those things. You know what I mean? I think it's going to feel like a different game. So interesting. Very, very hopeful, and if it's broken, I'm going to be depressed because this wipe had so much potential and it was so busted on launch, and they had more people than ever watching Tarkov on Twitch, and that fell off a cliff. More people left earlier. Like I like 2 months ago, I started getting messages where like, isn't this already the longest wipe they've ever had? And we were like so far away from it being the longest wipe that's ever. But that's where people are mentally. There's so many people just so over the bullcrap that like it feels like the longest wipe ever. So I'm going to be. I just really hope. I don't want to be depressed. I don't. I want it to be good. Now, before we move on, speaking of not wanting to be depressed, I would love to thank the sponsor of tonight's episode, and that is BetterHelp. BetterHelp, we partner with them for a long time now, and they're someone we're super excited. They're like an online platform where you can get the help you need. You can get therapy. You can get counseling. You can have somebody to talk to. We've talked at length. Both of us have personal experiences with therapy and personal experiences with BetterHelp specifically, allowing you to just like get in and get to somebody that you feel comfortable with, that you feel like understands you, and being able to do that in a really smooth, really cohesive way, being able to do it all online, being able to switch your therapist if you need to, if you just don't vibe with this person, being able to write notes or communicate with them in between sessions. It's just a really smooth process, a really good way to get somebody to talk to.
Yeah. Okay, think about it. How many lives do we get? It's a multiple choice question. There's only one right answer. Sorry to all my
9. Wait, that's cats.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry to all my friends who believe in reincarnation. Spoiler alert. But like, listen, we get one life. What are the chances that you're going to get it right on your first try?
Yep.
Probably 0, right? We're all works in progress. We got to work through. We all got stuff we got to figure out, whether it's work, whether it's productivity, whether it's relationships, whether it's just your own happiness, right? Yep. Like there's nothing more important than getting that in line and sorted as soon as possible, as early as possible, as quickly as possible, as pain-free as possible. So all I can say about myself is that, therapy changed my life.
Yep.
I began therapy with BetterHelp. And where I am today compared to like where I was a year ago, night and day. Yeah. Absolute night and day. I've been some deep, dark, down places.
Yep.
And now all I can say is that I'm smiling again,
Yeah. And if you're in those deep, dark, down places, like therapy is so valuable, but also like one of the things that I love to champion is that like, even if you're not, don't feel like you have to be all the way down to the bottom of the barrel in order to get that. Like it's pretty easy to tell when things are taking a turn, when maybe you lost a job or something entered your life or somebody left your life and you're not all the way down to the barrel yet, but you feel like things are changing or things are happening. It's just as good as a preventative to get somebody to talk to challenge the way you're looking at whatever the situation that's happening to you is, and can pivot before getting down to the bottom of the barrel. So
Bro, that's actually an insanely good point that I want to touch on, because when I first started going to therapy, it was for something, for just the general, issues that I was having personally with motivation and with, my interest in making content and dealing with the struggles that have to do with content creation and live streaming and everything that comes along with it. And then we got hit with a pandemic, and then health issues, family health issues, all kinds of other stuff piles on top, and your world can change like that.
Yep.
And I can't actually like, I hadn't thought about what if when I had that big decline, if I wasn't in therapy, the chances of me getting off my ass and doing it then would probably be pretty low. And I don't even want to know or think about, where that would end up. Yeah.
So it's awesome. We love it. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. You can visit betterhelp.com/podcast today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/podcast for 10% off your first month. Thank you so much, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this episode. So there's quite a bit more. So as per this roadmap, what's super interesting, I was convinced they weren't even going to use the W word. They weren't going to talk about the wipe at all. I thought we were super far away from a wipe. They said wipe is in August, and then they're showing another wipe in December. So this is super interesting because if that's true, this will be one of the shortest wipes that we've had in many years. Like I think we're currently at the longest wipe. I think we have officially crossed the threshold that right now we're in the longest wipe ever, like 210 days, whatever. And it's going to obviously be a few weeks before we get the wipe. But then they're going to wipe in December sometime. I would imagine towards the end. They've been doing like late December wipes for the past few years. So that'll be really interesting to go into a shorter wipe and interesting to know that that's the plan. Every wipe we go in, we just assume it's going to be around a 6-month wipe. A lot of people, I saw some stuff. People are like, man, well, it's going to be such a short wipe. I don't know if I'm going to even want to play or whatever. I think that's crazy because at the 4-month mark of this wipe, I started the turn happened where it was like, oh, when's the wipe? So I think that's not.
Yeah, but that's also a different group of people than the people who 48 hours after the wipe are like, I think I'm too late, man. It's too late to start.
Yeah,
Can't start
true.
Now. You know, it's too late, Jesse. I really want to start, but is it too late? Is it really too late? It's like,
no,
bro. No.
So I personally think it's going to be good. I think it'll be good. Well, first of all, and the other thing I said was, would you rather them postpone additions to the game to arbitrarily hit a 6-month wipe? Like, you know what I mean? If that patch is ready 4 months in, ship it. If it's ready 3 months in, let's ship it. Don't we all
their
want
argument is gonna
progress to the game?
Do it, just don't wipe.
Well, no, this wipe would need a wipe. I mean, we'll go through some of the features, but all I'm saying is I think that especially since this wipe that's coming is more quality of life focused and less like here's a new mechanic that's going to change the game focused, I think that it's actually smart as hell to release all that stuff, maybe get a dope wipe season under your belts, and then cut it off at the pass before it starts to feel too long or like, oh, there wasn't enough content. We can go into this and start teasing this kind of stuff. This is a little confusing, the graph, the roadmap, because not all of the blue bars go all the way to the wipe. You know what I mean? So like, it's weird. It's color coded in the bottom. All of the blue says winter update, but then all of these bars stop at different points. But I don't believe that people are like, oh, well, those are all mid-wipe patches. And I just don't really, because if you count them up, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different lengths. So basically what I'm saying is I don't think that they'll be able to pull off 4 mid-wipe patches in a 4-month wipe, all with significant like mechanics. Like the recoil rework is a tiny little bar. I don't think 1 month into this August wipe, we're going to get the recoil rework. Does that make sense?
Wait, where is that? I'm trying to...
It's the second blue bar. So like you would think looking at this graph that means you'd get that between the August and the December wipe.
Well, my assumption is that bar actually continues way off to the left into they've been working on it for a year now. And that's when they're planning on releasing it. And for some reason, it doesn't go all the way to the left side.
Yeah.
When really
and that's
it should
the thing.
go.
If it's, because once again, it ends up being scuffed no matter how you look at it. If you do look at it that way, where people are like, oh, that's like how much dev work they've put into it so far or how close it is to completion. I don't know. You'd think they would put that basically I'm looking at this as if every single blue bar is a thing that's coming in the December wipe and we're not going to get it. Like, yeah, maybe it's how much they've worked on this item already. Like maybe this third iteration of Streets of Tarkov, because by that logic, it would mean the third iteration of Streets of Tarkov is already ready because it's full complete. We're just putting it.
So I would, my understanding of this, the visual here is that like I expect the thing to be released all the way at the right side of each bar.
Yeah.
So like that would mean that the third iteration of the Streets expansion is going to be done basically December 1, or whatever. Probably December 20th, and they're going to do like drops or whatever for the new year.
Yeah. But we can go through the things that are coming. So preset magazine ammo loading. I don't know what that means. I think it means you can create a preset of like, I want 4 mags in my Blackrock and I want them to be filled with this ammunition. But
no, well, I assume that it was, I want to be able to weave armor pen flesh bullets in my magazines.
Christ. Maybe.
And then put 3 tracers at the bottom. Like the min-maxy thing that like people talk about that that it's going to be the meta that is not oh my god, I hate it so much. The reason why I hate this so much is because the first thing I did when I created Battle Buddy a million years ago, and I had the simulation, the ballistic simulation, where I could run through and I could go through 1,000 fights between 2 PMCs.
Yeah.
And I could manually go through and do whatever I wanted. And I realized that like basically no matter what you did in like 8 out of 10 different combinations, it was like 5 bullets time to kill no matter what.
Yeah.
If you did 5 armor piercing bullets, it was 5 bullets was the average time to kill. If you did armor pen, tracer, flesh round, armor pen, tracer, flesh round, it was 5 rounds to kill. Like if you did all flesh rounds, it was like 6 to kill. If you did like, it's such an insignificant thing.
Yeah.
But people, because they don't understand the systems and they think they're clever, like nobody's ever thought of, well, what happens if I do like an armor pen and then a flesh, because they think they're shooting the same hole and they're putting a hole in the armor, which is not how it works, right?
Yeah.
It's so irrelevant.
Yeah. So that might be what it means. He didn't say anything about it. We didn't get anything about it, but preset magazine ammo loading, I can very much so see that being a thing, by the way. Okay, the recoil rework.
So moving on to the next one. Oh, dog.
Oh, okay. So the recoil rework. Man, it's hard because it's like I don't know. Everybody hates it, which is, understandable. Now, preface with the fact that he literally said the point of showing the video was like, this is our work in progress. We've just started. We really, really want feedback about this. And then later, Clean got confirmation that the new recoil will come to the ETS whenever they have a shipped version of it.
The annoying thing about all the clips is that I don't know. I mean, I watched like 3/4. I didn't get all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Well, actually, once I got about 3/4 of the way through, and you could see like the voodoo, or the valley, whichever one it was, and then it looked the worst it's ever looked, completely broken, the worst it's ever looked. It
was so bad.
I'll never play Tarkov again if that's the way it looks.
Yeah,
mark my words. If that's the way that the optics look, I'll never touch the game ever again.
Yeah, I was really, really hoping that was not what they're gonna do to the voodoo. That would be atrocious.
It's the complete and utter opposite direction of where, like, whenever it's been like this, it's always been like, oh, the optics are bugged. Right? Yeah. And we've gone through. There have been people that have gone through that have like literally modded the game and put in like custom reticles and everything and made the optics look phenomenal.
Yeah.
And but so that's a whole other thing. That's the reason why I basically dry heaved 3/4 of the way through and had to Alt F4. But in the beginning, he never adjusts for the recoil.
No, not at all.
So I would have wanted to have seen that, just like an attempt at least.
Because that's the thing. That's the thing for me too. Is that like when you look at the beginning of the clip when he does those bursts, it kind of looks like it goes more just straight up in a vertical line than it does right now. So it kind of felt like better. At first I was like, ooh, like this might be better because you could just pull down. And like you could do controlled bursts that way where you just know and you pull down and you could actually control a burst instead of it going like wild. It was like, oh, that's interesting. The things I had qualms with was like when he was semi-tapping, the return was nowhere near. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like it would just go. It would just go in a random direction and stay way off. There was no return to where you're aiming, which is just mind blowing because like that to me is the opposite of.
They wanted us to semi-auto and controlled fire, and what this does is it makes semi-auto completely like not work, and then it makes it so that you're just gonna spray and close your eyes for the first 7 bullets, and then once you're done with the first 7, well, now you've got a spray that is.
Well, not only that, I was gonna make that point too. Not only he literally said in the podcast, like I need to send you the clip, Veritas. He was like, I look at the recoil and I don't like that semi-auto.
You guys must have never shot a gun.
Bro, we have some absolute gun nuts in chat, some absolute Chad operators. Anyways, he literally said, I don't like that semi-auto and bursting isn't very viable. And then shows us semi-autoing leagues worse than what we have right now. So much worse than what we have right now.
And bursting.
Well, bursting maybe, because if you controlled for recoil and it was more of a vertical spread, that would be better than what we have right now. Because right now your burst is like crazy.
Yeah, but I guess the difference is that there's two like halves of the spray.
Yeah,
it's like no control, boom, now I'm perfectly in control, which is like the problem, right?
Yes.
So that's what I was saying. It would motivate you to just full auto spray and kind of just like randomly pull down.
Yeah.
And then in about a second and a half, you have no recoil anymore.
Yes.
It's just gonna go
whereas
and then as soon as you're out of ammo, it'll go whoosh.
Yeah.
Because it's jumping up so much.
Yeah. Whereas we've talked about before, it would be nicer if on the burst, the first 3 to 5 bullets were actually low and grouped together, and over time it rose. You know what I mean? Because then you could just you know what I mean? Controlled bursts would be better because so I would like to see them flip that where the first 3 to 5 to 7 bullets stay relatively close together and then the recoil grows over time. The other thing that I was going to say was semi-autoing. He literally just said, I don't like it because semi-auto doesn't seem very viable. And then this is like the opposite of auto compensation, right? Like the auto compensation effect is the game saying I'm a Chad operator and for the player then compensating for recoil and tightening up the spread, in. This is the exact opposite where this is the game saying your skill level doesn't matter. When you click the button, I'm going to roll dice and then just send your reticle in a random direction. So this is the opposite of auto compensation. You click, and because you're not actually holding the gun, firing the gun, feeling like the way the gun is moving, you as the gamer then have to wait until what I'm saying is you couldn't compensate for that. If you know that shooting an M1A meant that the M1A always on its single shot went up and to the right, you could learn to control for that on semi-auto taps. But because the M1A now, the first bullet, it will go up and to the right. The second bullet, it will go down to the left. The third bullet will just go straight vertical. The fifth bullet, that means it's almost introducing delay. You have to shoot, figure out what dice roll you got, then compensate for it. It's the complete opposite of auto compensation in the fact that it's just let the gamer be the gamer. Just put the stats bake into the gun and then let the guy gaming learn that gun. The auto compensation we always said is weird because it's like, let me learn the gun and then compensate as the operator. This is the only instance in the game where the game itself just presumes that I have knowledge and then the game executes something on my behalf. And that feels weird. That's always why we said the auto compensation feels weird. This is just that in the opposite direction where it's like
it auto compensates on your behalf in the worst
possible way. So
yeah, they need to abstract muscle memory.
Exactly.
Which we've talked about.
Exactly.
And there's two ways they could do that. They could make it so it's boom and always comes back to the same place every time. Or they could do it so that it always doesn't return to the same place every time, but at least it stops in the same place. Like boom. Like which is how what's the like SWAT
Ready or Not.
Ready or Not, you go bang. Bang. There's no adjustment whatsoever. Bang. It just stops. And you have to go bang.
You
pull down, bang, pull down.
Learn that gun and you learn how to pull it.
Right. So it's either you have to learn the timing of the automatic compensation is A, or B, you need to learn the amount and the direction, the extent of the adjustment so that you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Or C, which is what they've shown, which is the worst of all possible things, which is we're going to send it in a random direction and we're not going to compensate for it.
Yeah.
You're riding the horse without the reins.
Yeah.
You're not in control.
So I hope that they understand that, but I'm scared that they don't because I can't believe they showed that to us. I can't believe. Now, once again, the burst I'd be interested in or whatever, but I just can't believe that transpired. I can't believe that out of Nikita's mouth, he said the words, I don't like that shooting in semi-auto single fire taps aren't as viable. And then they show us an objectively worse single fire experience. Like there's no universe that, not even the hot dog finger universe, where he can.
I would shoot better with hot dog fingers.
Yeah, he can look at that and then say, see, now that fixes the problem. That is better. You know what I mean? Now, I know, and somebody said it in chat, and it's very important. I said this at the beginning. He said it's a work in progress, and he said he's asking for feedback, but this is the feedback. You can't, like, do you understand how this works, by the way?
You can't have it both ways.
He said they're looking for feedback. When we give feedback, you can't say, well, hey, don't provide feedback. He said he was looking for feedback. That's what you're saying. This is the feedback, and so this is it. You know what I mean? So, like, but it is important to know they said that it's not the finished product, and they're open to feedback. But what I'm saying is, how open to feedback can they be if what happened? Like, he said, we don't like it because X. He showed us a very worse version of X and then said, well, give us feedback on it. It's like, are you listening to the feedback? Because I don't know. I don't understand.
Dude, I hate it, man, because it's like, I know they're not going to listen to the feedback. And also I know that they're so far out in Jupiter that they can show that and not be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like, that makes me think that Nikita has never seen it before, that he's not in the meetings with these people telling them these. Oh my God,
I don't know,
bro. It's every single possible red flag you could ever get. We're getting again and again and again and again, right?
The hope that I have is that they obviously don't understand how to do. And here's what's crazy. Like, and here's the biggest takeaway, if you're listening to this from me, of my frustration, isn't that the recoil system isn't what Jesse Kazam wants. My biggest frustration is the takeaway is Nikita said words and then showed something that was the opposite of the words he said. So it's not that the recoil is not what Jesse wants. My frustration is the recoil is not what Nikita wants. I'll tell you what I want for the recoil. We've had that conversation many times. But what blows my brain into freaking smithereens is he says, we want semi-auto tapping to be better, and then shows that. And I go, that makes me scared. Because I'm like, you're open to feedback, but what the hell? You know what I mean?
So either he hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
Or, like, there's two universes, right? he's completely clueless as to what the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
Yeah.
Which how often have we pointed that out in the last decade? You know, that Tarkov has been doing what Tarkov has been doing, right? That like Nikita doesn't know what the fuck is going on in his own game. Remember when I made a game that was said Tarkov was going in the wrong direction, and I said, hey, Nikita, this is what you want, and this is not what your game has. And like 98% of the community agreed. It's either that he doesn't know, or he does know, and that's even worse.
Yeah.
Because because then that means that he can say the words that he says, look at the thing, and those two make sense in his brain.
And that's the worst universe of all.
The sky is hot dogs.
The sky is hot dogs.
Can you imagine if the sky is hot dogs and we have basketball fingers?
Dude,
try shooting a gun with basketball fingers. That makes actually, you know what? In a world in which we have basketball fingers, the recoil makes sense, and everything Nikita said makes sense. There we go. There you have
basketball fingers, dude. Just look at it's 1 minute and 25 seconds in the video, or a little after that.
After my surgery, I'm trying not to vomit. Right?
Yeah. The very first shot he takes with the voodoo, like you can. What we just laid out, why this is so bad, you literally see it happen. The very first shot he takes with the voodoo, he shoots, has no idea where his reticle ended up, and then yanks it way off, overcorrects because he's looking for the bullet hole to tell him where he shot last, and then corrects his overcorrection. Like, the video proves.
He goes bang, and he pauses there for like a solid second.
He's like, what the hell? Where am I? Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, how can you watch that after saying we want semi-auto to feel better and feel better? Now, I will say, you know what's interesting? Even when you look at like the M4 that he's using, like with the red dot on it, you know the bug? Okay, it's not a bug. I don't know if it's a bug. You know the thing everybody was like, oh, this is kind of cool right at this wipe, where if you're aiming and you free look, it pulls your FOV back and you can like lock it there. You press tab and let go. That's what this looks like, by the way. Because when I rock an M4 like that, I can't see go to like 30 seconds. You can't see the charging handle and part. Like, that's why I hate the M1A, the SAS M1A, because you can see part of like the buttstock. It just feels like he's holding it out here.
The model.
Yeah. It feels like he's holding it out here. I rock M4s all the time and I never see the buttstock there. Now, he could just be playing on 50 FOV or 120. I play on 63, so I don't remember which way it would go. But he could just be playing on a massively. But it looks like he did the thing where like you middle mouse and it shoops. Because I've done that with voodoos too, just to mess around. And that's kind of what your voodoo looks like, because it looks so much smaller when you do that FOV thing and you can lock it in. Now that freaking scope shadow is disgusting. Please don't do that to my baby. But it just feels, the whole clip felt weird. I still think, like I said, I think the burst seemed maybe better if you compensated. It's hard to tell what attachments he had on the gun too, but it's safe to say the community was concerned. The backlash was very clear. Pretty much everybody, and even the people who actually said like this could be better, had a lot of like but this and but that. And I don't think anybody that I saw came to defense of the semi-auto. Like, it just
hyper rad. The first one, not gonna lie, this ain't it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the vibe. That was the vibe. Was everybody was like, not gonna lie, this ain't it. So
wait, even Tobias.
Yes.
This recoil pattern seems counterintuitive.
Yes.
He used to work for
yes.
BSP and doesn't anymore.
Yep.
First handful of bullets should be placed inside a relatively small circle and then travel it.
He's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh my god, all these memes, I'm just scrolling through, and the third one is Dan Exert.
Yeah.
With what's his name? What's that
name? It's not Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson just freaking the out like no. Oh
yeah.
Do you truly believe this is better? Oh my god.
Yeah. So listen, they said they wanted feedback. They got a lot of feedback. I hope that the next thing we see is different, because basically the only hope is, so I was going to say this earlier, I got sidetracked. The only hope is that this will be the crowning achievement of the ETS. If the universe exists where they know what they want like the where you said the right hand doesn't know what the left hand doing. Nikita knows what he wants, but doesn't know what they're doing, and they don't know how to do it. The only hope is that through feedback, the community guides them in the right direction. Like they see all this feedback and they go, oh shoot, this ain't it. They try something, they put it on ETS, and the feedback comes rolling in, and hopefully it can just inch in that direction. I know that's mega copium, but that's all I can hold on to. It's all I have left to hold on to.
Somehow I see someone mention me in a tweet. I didn't even notice this before. I could see Veritas Games already heating up the furnace to burn this, even with the additional info that it's far from being the final state.
Yeah.
True that.
So
True
the
that.
hope, to end that on a hopeful note, it's just I hope that they took the feedback that was this ain't it, and they're making adjustments. Now, if you go to a little bit farther down from that,
okay, I can't read these. I need to get away from this comment section. Oh god.
Above the PKM video, they showed the new armor hitboxes, man, and this is going to be a controversial one, man. There's parts of it that I'm like, this is so cool, just like from a like game design standpoint. But then as somebody who like PvPs and stuff like that, I'm super interested in this. I'm not saying it's good or bad yet. I'm saying I don't know. But they showed, I mean, some of it's really cool. They showed tiny little armor plates. They showed like the Thor armor can have over 300 armor points because there's so many different places. It shows you, there's a part where he stops and it shows like there's back, chest, left side, right side, neck, stomach, left shoulder, right shoulder. And what armor class? So this, by the way, that armor, the Thor armor in Tarkov right now is a class 6 armor. You put that on, you have class 6 armor, neck to crotch, completely top down. But you see he has the front and back plates are class 6 and everything else is class 3. So that's super interesting. And the small plates, they do the little circle thing or the edit presetter where the preset editor where you show all the different stuff. And then they show some in-game footage of like a dude with a slick on getting one tapped to the neck. Like a slick, he has a slick and an Alton, and he gets like one tapped to the neck or something like that because there's a new head neck hitbox or whatever. And then there's like shotgun pellets killing someone to the neck. And then there's the guy with his Abralo and an Alton getting shot by a shotgun, and it's showing like the armor kind of tick down there. This is exactly what they said it was going to be, right? This is exactly what they said it was going to be, and it's something that they've said they're going to do for years. So this isn't like, oh my God, they're changing. Like if you've been following the game, this is exactly what they said. But I am definitely concerned at how it'll affect the game. You know what I mean? Especially since traditionally Omega high flesh damage rounds are the cheapest, right? Like Magnum Buck is like 32 rubles or something, 100 rubles. And, you know, SP6 for the Val is like 2,000 rubles or whatever. Now, before people just, I mean, I already know that we've got the Redditors in the freaking chat and in the comment section. I don't mind an entire shakeup of the system. I love the concept of like adapting to a new system, like, oh, we need this, that, and the other. It's more with the ingredients we have on the table. This shakeup that we're talking about, I don't know that they're gonna like consider all the things, because there's like so few of these big chunky armors, and there's so many super high flesh damage rounds that I don't know that we have the necessary ingredients to do this flip. And really, my concern is we flip everything on its head, but we result in just a new meta where everybody just runs Magnum Buck and nobody can afford armor that covers your neck. And so it's just a shotgun game starting that day. Does that make sense? Where like, I'm all for shaking it up, but if shaking it up boils this down. Oh yeah, it's not slick mutant BP meta anymore. It's just MP153 trooper armor meta. If it just ends up being a different meta where there's 2 viable guns, 2 viable ammos, and 2 viable armors, that's not better, right? That's just different, and that's my concern.
Bro, people want the simplest, dumbest, straightforward answer, right? That's why people say, "What's the best gun?" They don't want you to think about recoil ergonomics. Oh, I'm overwhelmed by all of it. Just tell me the answer, right?
Yeah.
Now, you don't have 23 options anymore for armor. You have 23 times every single armor times the number of possible plates you could put in each of the possible slots times the number. Yeah. It's going to end up being one answer. It's like, it's either you max out all the slots and all the things, or you wear nothing, or you just wear like the trooper because there's no plates and it's too much work.
Yeah.
The system is already infinitely more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Which is made obvious by the fact that there's a million bugs, confusion, questions about why did I die with this bullet to this armor? Was it a bug? Was it not a bug? Was it ballistics? Was it a fragmentation? Was it overpen? Was it blah blah blah? Right? Like nobody knows.
Yeah.
This adds 9 million more variables, and it's that much more you have to think about, stress about, and watch guides about before you can get into the raid to then insta die, and none of it'll matter anyway.
Yeah.
So I hate to poo-poo on the thing because it looks rad.
Yeah,
it does. It's to me, it's so much work and so much effort in a system completely and utterly pointless. That is not going to add anything to the game except for confusion.
Yeah.
And more money and more clicks and more time and more stress. And it's not going to change the time to kill.
Yes, correct. And that's what I'm worried about too. And that's the thing is once again, you're absolutely right. People do not want nuance. And I really think a lot of people are going to think that I hate this idea. I don't hate the idea. I would just, once again, I just go back to, I don't know that they have the tools to execute on it well. I kind of like when games are complicated. And that's just me. I'm speaking very much so for myself here, not the casual player or anybody. I'm speaking for myself. I like having to learn a new thing and be like, oh, what's the best? There's 80 different options here. I love the RPG element of like, you know, loot's everywhere and I got to min-max. I like that. But even if you want to do that, even if you want to do like a healthy confusion, a healthy complexity, if you like this idea, if you like this feature, all I'm asking that you consider is that December wipe, what if everybody on day one is rocking MP153s they can buy from Jaeger and 7mm buck or Magnum buck? And what if 127 days into the wipe, that's still all anyone's running? Will that be fun to you? I get it. This is a real thought experiment. If you're in the chat, if you're watching this, if you're listening, and you're like, I love this idea, man. Is that going to be fun for you? Because we're always saying we want to change the meta, and I'm okay to change the meta. I'm okay if a slick and hex is useless. I'm not saying I'm level 67 and I still wear class 4 armors all the time. I'm not a meta slave. I don't care. I'm okay with shaking up the system. I'm just saying, do we have the ingredients? Like, to me, what we would need then is more class 2, class 3, and class 4 armors that look like Gen 4s, that cover neck, that cover shoulder, that are affordable, that have class 2 and class 3 plates that you can put there. Because that's the thing. If at level 20, you at least have access to an armor that can cover these things. Because remember, if we're talking about Magnum Buck, you only need class 2, class 1 armor to stop it, right? But if we don't have those tools, if those things aren't in the game, then it'll result in just a different meta of everybody using this. But the meta will then change to a more available, cheaper alternative. And so that's what I'm saying is that, like,
or it's you feel like you need to invest more time in, I'm gonna put level 6 plates in every inch of all of this stuff, and you're still gonna get one tapped by M61 in the head, and it won't be relevant, right? And you no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that's the other point. Like that is absolutely the other point to make here, is that Tarkov has always had an identity crisis, and the community then latches on to whatever side, and both sides are largely immovable. Not many people are willing to swing in the in between. It's had an identity crisis between the RPG element And the real just standard game design element of the longer you play, the more powerful gear you get, and that more powerful gear that you get needs to be more powerful. And then the other side of the identity crisis is at any moment, at any time, with any gun, I can kill anyone. And those things fight each other, and those parts of the community fight each other, right? Like Desmond is in here, and he's expressing an opinion that I respect, which is that if I play the game and I get better at the game and I get better gear, you know, in World of Warcraft, if you were a level 175 warrior with the best stuff and you went into a PvP zone and a literal brand new fresh account killed you, that would feel bad. That's not traditional game design. And then we've also had people in the chat saying the exact opposite. This is going to be so great because more builds are going to be viable and you can take down Chads and this. And I can also respect and understand that opinion. I'm glad I'm not in control of this because I'm not the one that started this identity crisis. That was BSG, and I don't know how to resolve it. Because if
there is no resolution.
Yeah, because if an end I don't know what is the point of progressing to get better armors if those better armors are useless. And I don't know. I'm not coming at it from either side. I'm saying like this identity crisis and this butting heads is only going to get worse with this change.
So you talked about like complexity and how you like complexity in games, and like I'm totally with you, except it's not just complexity for the sake of complexity. It's the complexity has to be meaningful.
Yeah.
So like to pull a Diablo example, just because it's on
fresh.
The top of my head, right? There's like a million different stats that you can have on chest armor.
Yeah.
Or a sword or whatever, right? There's a million options that you can have a plus to vulnerable damage, a plus to core skills, a plus to close damage, a critical strike damage, damage to crowd control enemies, right? There's a million different things. And you have to make the decision between the different kind of properties you want on an item and why it makes sense. And that's the kind of complexity that matters.
I see what
because
you mean.
You're using that sword to kill 100,000 mobs.
Yeah.
So the complexity over these numbers and the stats and all of the intricate decisions that you're making over those things, they matter. When you have to do an expert level Sudoku to have a 2% chance of any of the things that you decided be relevant at all.
Yeah.
You might die to a scav grenade.
Yeah.
How cool was it that you had the decision-making process of, okay, so now I'm looking at the Zabralo, right? And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 13 armor slots. How many of those things do I want to put in armor? And what classes do I want to... Oh, I'm dead to a grenade. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. There's 13 different armor slots. Do I want to put in level 3 in the... Oh, sorry, you got sniped by Sniper Scav in the head through your level 6. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
The complexity is irrelevant.
Yeah.
98% of the time. So therefore, it's bad, useless, vapid, empty complexity. The complexity is only there to make the players go, well, I guess that's hardcore. I have no control over anything. It's real life. You know, it's the worst kind of complexity.
Yeah. I understand what you mean. I do. I understand that perspective. And because
it lasts one death.
Yeah.
And that death is almost entirely out of your control.
Yeah.
So like the only thing I can see is if you fill up every single one of those armor slots, if it gives you 100 more HP.
Yeah,
if you fill up all of those slots, like, well, now I have a reason to fill up all of those. Oh, well, you get a bonus, a 25% bonus to each individual slot if both adjacent slots are the same armor class.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like, okay, well, now maybe there's a reason to put like
complex,
6 in everything, and then it's Fortnite, and it's good, you know, and then it's going to take 72 shots to kill me, but at least now it's meaningful.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. You're not saying that that's what it needs to be. You're saying that's an example of using that complexity in a way that would then immediately show you the effect and the benefit of that complexity. Yeah.
It would be relevant in your control and you would see a benefit, right?
Yeah.
So when someone's like, wear a seatbelt, would you wear a seatbelt if there was a 0.000000001% chance that it increased your survival, and there was a 0.0000007% chance that you like got decapitated but lived in a vegetative state your whole life? Gotta love the complexity in that decision, huh?
Yeah.
I don't even want to drive anymore.
Yeah.
It's not fun,
Yeah.
right? It's just completely pointless decision making for something that you have no control over, that is so rare. How often is somebody going to say, okay, you know what? I was going to go class 3, but instead I went class 6 in my armpit plate.
Yeah.
Boom, I got shot in my armpit plate. Hell yeah, boys.
Yeah.
I survived because I somehow knew that it was, you know, a 32 pen bullet that hit the class 4, and it saved me. Thank God I made that decision.
Yeah.
This complexity is so great, and I feel so rewarded from it.
Yeah. Yup. Because I already have these conversations, right? Like I love poking the bear a little bit. Somebody will be like, you know, when someone says, what's the best armor? You know, I like diving into that conversation. Or when somebody says, you know, slicks are trash. And I like being like, not if somebody shoots you in the thorax with M61 or with BP, right? Like you survive there because you had that slick on. But then somebody says, why are you wearing that? Like that's useless. Well, I'm like, well, no, if it's or I love going down that rabbit hole, but you're exactly right. This just like 10x's that, where you put all those plates in and then somebody leg metas you because there's still no leg armor, right? Someone just magnum bucks you to the leg or rip rounds you to the leg, then it didn't matter. Then nothing mattered. Your helmet, nothing, you know? And
did you ever play Gran Turismo back in the day?
Yeah, a little bit.
So Gran Turismo 3, one of my favorite games of all time. I never, ever spent any time messing with the wheel camber, gear rate, unless I wanted to pull a wheelie with the Pikes Peak Suzuki.
Yeah. Unless
I wanted to do 1,000 miles an hour and pull a wheelie, I wasn't touching the gear ratios. I wasn't, right?
Yeah.
But that was a game where that complexity actually mattered, because you could do 100 races with that car. Imagine a game like Gran Turismo where it's like you can tune the gear ratios just how you want it, and you can put the particular compound of rubber on your tires, and but if you touch anything, your car explodes and you have to start over again.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna grab whatever car is the best off the shelf, and I'm not gonna touch it.
Yeah. That's what I feel like will end up happening, is it'll just be armors you find. If you find off a boss or off of this or that, like it's got these cool things, you'll run that. But so my guess is that very few times will people buy a thing and then fill it with plates that they have to buy and then go into a raid. If they kill a PMC or I kill a boss or something, I'll repair the plates and I'll run it and hope that these things benefit me. But
because the system's completely inscrutable. That's the problem. You have no idea if putting that armor there that's going to give you a run speed penalty or an ergo penalty, is it worth the 15,000 rubles to put these plates in? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you just don't want to think about it because you get decision paralysis.
Yeah.
And decision paralysis is bad enough when it's hard to know the answer.
Yeah.
In Tarkov, there's no way to know the answer.
Yeah.
By design.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting?
So people are going to do what's the easiest thing. They're going to buy the Untar armor because it doesn't have plates and it provides the same like thing with the least amount of clicks, and it's the most value, and that'll be the meta, and I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is that like this complexity works. I'm not saying I want this in Tarkov. I don't. Please God. But like this level of complexity works in a universe where every round from every single gun every gun only has 1 round per caliber, and it just does 30 pen and 35 damage. Like if that was shrunk down, then this complexity becomes ever more apparent, because it's like, oh, I'm going to use this and this class, because instead of buffing health, it's the reverse, right? It's like, oh, this class, I'm going to be able to tank 7 shots instead of 3, but I want to be able to tank 7 shots here, but only 2 shots here. And there's no world where it's just like I'm insta dead with a 1 shot to the KS-23 to the legs, right? There's no world where it's just like it's like headshots, 35 damage, headshots, still a headshot. But in that world, all these Class 3 armors would be valuable, Class 4, Class 5, Class 6, it would all change that up. But because you have the overwhelming complexity that is how many ammos, the overwhelming complexity now of how many armor plates and armor places. I don't hate the idea. People think I hate the idea. I love the idea. I just don't know that we have the tools necessary to execute on the idea in a way that lets people be happier at the end of raids and not more sad at the end of raids. You know what I mean? So,
and here's one last thing, the cherry on top. Tell me how we could know that the system is working properly when they release it.
Yeah.
Good luck testing it.
Yeah. There's just going to be
good luck knowing, again, because there's a dozen bullets for a dozen calibers that can hit you in 30 different zones on your body. Some percentage of the time they can fragment.
Yep.
Then there's the blacked out limb multipliers.
There's blunt damage.
Then there's the blunt damage. Then there's the penetrating through one limb, and then the damage reduction through that limb and the layer of armor, and then the armor damage, and then the blunt damage, and then it's going to hit another limb, and that other limb is going to also then go through the armor on that limb, and then is it going to fragment there, or can it fragment beforehand? You're just going to see a kill screen at the end.
Yep.
And you're going to be confused by what you see.
Yep.
And you're going to say, why did I spend an extra 10 minutes thinking about what I thought was a cool decision about all these armor plates when the system's completely and utterly inscrutable?
And testing it in offline, if you do offline with friends, there's no damage overview at the end. So you can't even test it in offline and then like see, oh, how did this break down? Because it just sends you right back to the menu. So now I would imagine that this is also a feature that will most likely come to the ETS. So
my lawyer has said that I can't confirm.
Yeah, I don't know. So like if recoil's coming, this is a big enough thing that they've been talking about. And once again, to be clear, this isn't my frustration with this or my concern with this isn't a surprise. I knew this was coming, and when they showed it, it is exactly what they described. It's not like I'm surprised, like, OMG, BSG going in the wrong direction. A lot of people think that. They've always planned on doing this. I just am concerned with it, and my concern is that a lot of people that are super excited for it, it's a short-sighted excitement that they'll be able to just like kill everyone faster, not realizing that the players that are better than them will just adapt to the new system and kill them as fast as they're excited to kill them. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'll be able to drop a guy with a slick and an Alton in 2 shots now. It's like, well, here are 2 things. You'll never find anyone running slicks and Altons anymore because they're useless, and they'll be using the same ammo you are, and if they're better than you, they're going to kill you. So it's like, now when you get the kill, you won't be rewarded. That's the other thing too, is if you're excited about this because now you're going to drop Chads, if the meta is pack a Shattered Mask MP153, that's what the Chads are going to be using. So when you down the Chad, he's just most likely going to end up with the same gear you had on anyway. So the reward for killing that Chad won't be anything.
Right now, there's people who don't wear armor because they think it does nothing. There's the people who are so kind of new to Tarkov that they're going to be wearing the like 70% 3M armor, and like excited about it, not knowing that not knowing that it's not going to protect them from the Taz scav, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the people who understand everything enough to know like the highest value thing is just like the 90% level 4 armor that they got off the last guy, and that's good enough, right? Or there's and then there's the people who have infinite money and they can always run whatever they want.
Yeah.
And you know what we're gonna have after this change? Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Maxed out 6 plates in every single thing, whatever.
Yeah.
The people who are doing the not min-maxing, they're just going with the highest value, easiest thing.
Yeah.
The people who don't wear armor, and then the newbies who don't quite understand, and they're going to be sitting there wondering, oh, I got to go to the wiki, I got to watch a guide, I'm so stressed out about, hey, streamer, what should I, can you tell me, can you explain the armor? And it's going to be like, there's no way to explain it. There's no way.
Good luck.
There's no right answer.
Yeah.
The only person who could tell us is ChatGPT, and ChatGPT doesn't have the formulas.
Yeah.
Maybe I should train ChatGPT on the goddamn ballistics formulas.
Yep.
Because that's the only way. There's just no way to know.
There's no way.
So there's going to be the illusion of choice, and it's just going to be more clicks and more work. And that's what makes me so frustrated.
So That's it. I know the takeaway from that conversation is going to be people just being like, oh, they think it's dumb. Yeah, get hardcore. Brother, I hope it's good. I'm just concerned, man. I'm just concerned. All right, we can riff through some of these other ones. Vaulting is coming. They didn't show any more of that. Excited about that still. Bro, blind fire, one-handed and two-handed blind fire. That's exciting to me just because the blind fire in the game currently is so useless. It's not a 90-degree angle. You can't throw grenades while blind fired anymore, and you can't move while blind firing anymore. So it's just like, it just never becomes a thing you want to do. They showed a video in April that the blind fire looked so much better because it was actually like much more adaptive to the cover, and it was much more at a 90-degree angle. Now we're seeing you're going to be able to one-handed blind fire, which is kind of cool. I just think that's cool because it'll be cool to see if that's a usable thing, because right now it's not a usable thing. Weapon bipods and mounting, which was on the other roadmap as well, being able to kind of like separating weapon bipods and mounting makes me think that being able to like rest your gun on cover, or like the Call of Duty where you could like put it up against the wall type thing, I think that's going to be really cool. The BTR on Streets is coming alongside that second or the third iteration of Streets in that patch. He mentioned new services, special services with Lightkeeper. So I don't know what that means. That kind of, to me, makes me think that they are maybe moving away from him being a trader, which is what they called him for a really long time, where you would go buy things with him, and that they're exploring other options. Services, I don't know what that means, but that doesn't read to me like trader, like he's going to sell explosives like we all thought. My guesstimation, we've seen like actual renders of like Proper and Therapist, and back in the day, they were supposed to be put in the game. My guess is that none of the traders are going to end up physicalized. Lightkeeper's just going to be like an NPC you can interact with for some stuff if you want to. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Left shoulder shooting, shoulder swapping. Nikita said, this is one of the things he's the most excited for. He got super hyped when he was talking about this. I'm super excited about this. I hope there's a way that they can take this that's fun, and then there's a way that they can take this that's really rough. Well, I just like, it's just going to be fun to be able to take any peek. You know what I mean? Just like, I hope you can just swap quickly. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I just think that's going to be sick. Then we get the RPD, the Scar grenade launcher will finally fit on the Scar, the Sig Spear, and the VSK 94, which is like the Val SMG. They've showed pictures of that before. Another boss, I'm assuming it's another Streets boss because they said there's going to be a ton. This is interesting, bro. Achievements. They're adding achievements to the game, and they're adding like somebody asked in the Q&A, like prestige, and he said it's planned actually. It's coming with the achievement update. So there will be some way to prestige, and he said something along the lines of being able to permanently increase your stash size a little bit with a prestige, which is like a great reason to prestige, right? Like that's not like a cosmetic or whatever. So very sparse details on that, but that could be really cool. We've talked at length in the past. Like, it'd be cool to have an achievement of killed this many scavs, or I mastered this gun, so I got this achievement, or I mastered this many guns, and because of that, I got this achievement and got this cool armband. Like, mastered 30 different weapons in Escape from Tarkov. That would be a really sick thing. It's not a quest. You don't have to do it. You don't have to require for Kappa, but it's something to do. You know what I mean? Like, that could be really awesome. So they didn't really give any information. But
depending on what they do for rewards, like I know some people would just want the reward in and of itself. I think that's one of those things that even for those people, I have a feeling that you get diminishing returns after a while, where it's like, you know, putting like content creators to the side, like,
yeah, of course.
I don't know how many people are going to want to, like, that's going to keep them playing 4 months in because they have more achievements they're going to get, unless they get, you know, like a tracksuit level
reward,
you know, reward for doing, you know, all of these achievements or whatever, right? Like, it'll be interesting to see what if anything they have for rewards other than there's a screen you go to where you see the list.
Yeah.
If it was medals on a wall in the hideout, even that, infinitely cooler, right?
Yep.
Like, I remember the bobbleheads, like collecting the
Yeah.
bobbleheads
In Fallout.
Just the fact that you could have like the physical things on the little shelf,
Yeah.
and you could have like 20 shelves, and it was like something to do. Yeah, there's ways they could go about it.
The
Who the fuck
hideout would
knows?
be a great way to to tie in achievements to the game. We're not like, if you don't want every single achievement to be like a reward that like increases your stash size or gives you a cosmetic, if you want some of them to be there but not every single one, the hideout would be such a cool way to, like, you know, the rest space changes when this happens or this changes, and like it's something to show for it. That'd be cool. Then some of the more vague ones: balancing changes to the mechanics of armor, damage, and movement. So that's coming alongside the armor customization and reworked hitboxes. Alongside that is the balancing to changes of the mechanics of armor, damage, and movement. So,
and recoil.
yes, and recoil.
So it's going to be a completely different game.
That's what I'm saying, dude. In one patch, in one winter patch, we're getting balancing changes to damage, armor, movement. We're getting completely new armor hitboxes. We're getting a completely new recoil rework. We're going to be able to shoot from left side peaks. We're going to be able to vault.
And new optics.
We're going to be able to mount weapons.
On top of very likely the same ballistics formulas and calculations. Yeah. Enjoy yourselves, kids.
Yeah, so it's going to be
have fun.
It's going to be, this patch is going to be scuffed, dude. But I'm excited.
Inscrutable is the word. I can't use any other word other than inscrutable. It's the perfect word for what Escape from Tarkov is going to feel like between August and January.
Inscrutable. Leveling, skill, and weapon mastering rebalance. Very, very open to that. Excited about that. Sight reticle brightness adjustment. This is sick for night vision, being able to turn down the brightness of your optic when using night vision. Various technical and functional adjustments, and then more AI and behavioral improvements. He said that in between the August patch and the December patch, we should get the Unity update, and then also the new matchmaking system that they've been testing in the ETS. Hopefully that means we get into raids quicker. And then that's it. That takes us to the December wipe. Now
it's good. It's good they're getting Unity 2021 out about a month before 2024.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had to.
Yeah.
I had to. When I look down and I see a year on, it's essentially a calendar, right? This is a roadmap. And I look down and I see 2021, and then I look up, I see December, and then I look down at the Windows calendar and I see 2023, and I just
math's really good.
I can't not say it out loud.
Yeah. He said, and then I took notes on just some things he said in between all these things. A bunch of technical updates will be coming between August and December. One of them will include Unity. Plenty of optimizations coming in both wipes. And in the tech updates in between. A big part of the optimizations to FPS will be in the December patch. In the Q&A, somebody asked about map-to-map travel. He said, yes, still planned. And then later, somebody said, open world, ? And he said, this is what happened. He was like, open world? There's open world in Skyrim. That was it. And then just moved on. And everybody was like, oh, okay. That's what he said.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So rip the dream, boys. R.I.P. the open world dream.
My favorite episode of the podcast is still when we riffed on like the open world and how it could how it would be like DayZ, and we went hard on
so deep. Yeah.
And he just
go play Skyrim if that's what you want.
Go play Skyrim now. Oh god.
Skyrim was probably built on a newer version of Unity. Hey-o.
Oh my god. I can't. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I can't.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. Yeah. Somebody asked Nikita, do you play Tarkov? And he said, yes, he's been playing a lot recently. Take that for what it's worth.
Damn, that sucks, Nikita, because you've been playing the worst Tarkov.
Yeah.
You really should have played it back in 2018 when it was awesome. If only you played it then, you'd have an idea.
Yep. Prestige planned. He said something about elite weapon modifications that will have like specific bonuses to them, and that will have like the ability to like track your stats, so that if you kill somebody, you can like see like this person killed this many PMCs with this gun or something like that.
Do you get it back in your protector case when you die?
I doubt it. I don't know.
Because otherwise, it's pointless. When your stat tracker lasts you one raid.
Oh, yeah. I think it's more for other people, not for yourself. More for like you kill a guy and you're like, oh, this guy killed a bunch of people with this gun. I think it's less about you tracking stats and more about like other people. I don't know. He didn't expound on it much.
Man, it's so backwards, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Imagine if the stat tracker, like knives you got in CSGO, how valuable they'd be if you couldn't see the knife, but only everybody else
had to
could see it.
Sell it, and then you could see it. He said the game will release on Steam. Which is interesting. He said that weapon paint is planned, which is awesome because that's the first time we've got confirmation about that, and I think that's great.
I remember when somebody sent me, when I was looking back through my conversations with him from like 3 years ago about, when I was looking back to see about our conversations about the API, around that same time, someone had sent me like privately, they basically like modded the game and they made a bunch of like skins, but like they had like, like the ghillie fiber over, like the really cool, like, what you would do if you want, like, to spray over the mesh, with like the green and I remember him being like, like send me more.
Oh.
I was like, did you see that? And he's like, no, send me more. He was interested. So I always knew that he was interested in that.
Yeah, which makes sense. It makes sense because it's a thing it's so realistic. Like people do that. So I mean, all he said is like painting weapons is planned. He didn't say skins. He didn't say how it's going to do it. He didn't say if we're going to do it or you're just going to be able to find variations. Like we have no information other than he said somebody asked a question and he said yes, it's planned. Talked about the weapon rack, removing the sharpening effect of painkillers. Oh, bro, he said somebody asked, will there ever be more secure containers than the ones we have? And he said yes, in this patch, in the August patch, which is,
I always thought there was going to be
the Omicron one was shown way back in the day,
800 years ago.
800 years ago. As soon as he said that, nice guy found the pic and tweeted it, like the Omicron case.
They need to put the pack first of all back in.
It's still in. It's just mega rare. Like I think Gingy found it this wipe.
It's Harlequin crest in Diablo,
basically. But like, dude. Anyways, so I think that's awesome. I think more secure containers, more things, like it's such a great way to drop more like achievements and more like reason to like grind, especially if you don't have EOD, right? Which the expectation shouldn't be that everybody just bought the $150 version of the game, right? They talked about once again EODs getting removed eventually. He said events are going to be more frequent. Chronicles of Rizhny happening soon, which actually happened today. No new event, so there's not really a lot of noteworthy, but the Chronicles of Rizhny dropped today. Rizhny met with Gluhar again. Nothing really happened.
And they kissed.
Yeah.
That's I'm not going to lie. I would be totally into like a Scav boss erotic fan fiction.
Yeah.
Than I think anything else in Tarkov. Yeah. And I'm not even kidding. I would actually, I'm not even joking.
It's out there,
unironically,
bro.
I would get so much more enjoyment out of reading
Rule 34 or whatever it is, Tarkov. You'll find some stuff.
Prap War Rule 34. I think I tweeted something about that a while back.
Oh, and then he said that there's a big event happening towards the end of this wipe. He said there's a really special quest line that will grant you a really special bonus. So if they're engineering an end of wipe event that has a quest line that gives you a bonus. My imagination leads me to that bonus has to transfer over to the next wipe, right? Like if it's a pre-wipe event and you get a bonus, well,
it's a bonus for the rest of the pre-wipe.
It has to, you know, I hope.
It's a T7.
Yeah.
Oh
my God, that'd be so brutal.
T7.
Brutal, dude. And then he touched on Arena very briefly. He said that they dropped a video. They dropped another little Arena video. Apparently, they had a tournament, a company-wide tournament, like an in-house, like they're trying to test the thing. And so they did like a tournament with everybody. They showed a little video about that. He said it's soon. He said it's really close. And he said beta will happen sometime in the fall.
It's beta.
Yeah. He said closed beta will happen for everybody in the fall. So I think it just means...
Wait, closed for everybody?
Yes, exactly. But I think that means like Tarkov's a closed beta in the sense that you have to pay to get access to it. So I think it's like that. You'll have to buy Arena, but it will launch in beta. I mean, dude, he seemed like he kept harping on the fact he was like, Arena is done. It is ready. We just want to make sure it is perfect. We want to make sure it is perfect. So
Bro,
I know he's setting himself up, but that's what I would have wanted, right? Like I really want them to hound in on it. I really want them to. So I don't know, man. I don't
here's where someone is going to edit together the clip, 6 months from now or whatever, where you just said the thing and then I laugh and then they're going to edit in the clip where Jesse's like, oh, I'm so pumped. And he launches, you see the fucking splash screen and it's like Unity 2021 is crashed and unrecoverable blue screen. And then Jesse looks into the camera. Whoever is going to do the editing, you're welcome.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. So it's coming in the fall. He said it's really good and really close. And he kept using esport and cybersport and that they're trying to build in a tons of functionality.
BSG Sport.
BSG Sport. It's G Sport.
EFT Sport.
It's new sport
it's
called
EFT Sport. It's BSG Sport. It's not any sport. Take my money.
So I don't know, man. It is interesting to consider, though, the potential really dope hype train that will happen of if this wipe comes and is good and is fun, and between these wipes, somewhere in October, November, we get Arena, and then in December, January, we get another patch, like, that could be dope. That could just be like a dope, constant IV stream of like stuff to do and Tarkov related stuff to do. So I'm not saying that it's going to work out that way. There's a very real possibility we get this wipe in September, not August. The next wipe gets pushed to June of next year and Arena gets delayed another year. But I'm just saying that according to that calendar they just laid out, that would be a really sick 6 months for a Tarkov fan. I don't know. And then the only other thing that happened, we're already 2 hours and 16 minutes in, so I don't want to get too deep into it. But you remember way back in the day when they did like leaderboards where you could like see, they did like a season of like the leaderboards. Yeah, they're doing that again, and it has caused drama. Yeah. Apparently the winners or everybody in the top 10 of all the leaderboard things get a reward of 2 extra rows on their stash permanently forever. Every single wipe, you're going to be able to like activate it and get like, so there's an actual real reward to it. You get 2 extra rows in your stash.
2 extra rows.
I
These
know.
Are the people that have like literal thick cases filling their stash.
But
oh my God.
But they did it in a really weird way where like, okay, so like they only tracked stats from when the leaderboard went live. So like the guy at the top of survival rate was just a guy who played a factory raid, got out, saw he was #1 in the world because he had 100% survival rate and just stopped touching his account. Like it didn't take your survival rate for the whole wipe. It was just like, I played a raid.
That's so weird. It's almost like they didn't look past their goddamn elbow.
Yeah. And then And so I don't know. And then like everybody was just basically everybody thinks everybody on all of the leaderboards are cheaters. I think there's actually good reason to believe that some of them are cheaters because you're like, what the hell? I think right now the guy with the number one, literally on the leaderboard, the guy with the number one spot has a 114% survival rate. Like, it's just a joke. Like, how? I don't know. The one that was like valid and valuable, like the one that everybody was going for, was PMC kills. Because like, you just keep grinding it.
You just keep going into factory with your 4 friends.
Yes.
Over and over
that
again.
is. Unfortunately, everybody was grinding that. Desmond, Tiggs, Hyperrat, Sheaf, and a few other were like, basically whoever was live would be in the number one spot. And then they found out that your teammates count as kills. And so a few of them just kind of were like, well, it's just like cheesable now. You know what I mean? You could just go in with 4 other dudes and just kill them all and leave and kind of farm that. So, and then you had a whole bunch of drama with people taking viewer kits to do it. And like some people were like, shouldn't be taking viewer kits. And everybody was getting all dramatic about that. And then when people realized that now, not only are you taking viewer kits, but if you're taking a viewer kit, you get a free kill because your teammate that you spawned in with counts as a kill.
Man, I don't miss
I know.
this.
Dude,
Oh my God.
I am staying as far as humanly possible away from all leaderboard related stuff. I don't care. It is scuffed. I'm in no way defending BSG as a result of it. I'm just saying, like, I'm staying away from the drama. I'm staying away from it. I have absolutely no desire to even attempt to get anywhere close to those leaderboards. I'm just setting that aside as if it did not happen. It does not exist. That is gone. Bye-bye. So, yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. For the last 45 minutes, I've been distracted. Since the last time we said hot dog fingers, all I've been thinking about is how much I want to eat a hot dog, and I can't for another 5 weeks.
Brother. Hold on. Let me show you something. I bought this on my subathon. It was a thing where like chat gets to spend $100 on Amazon, and one of the things they voted on was the slot dog. It's a metal grate that cuts slits into your hot dog so that your condiments ooze into the center. Have I used it? Absolutely not.
Solving problems that we didn't know we had.
Solving problems. Yep, the slot dog.
Bro, all you do is you just put the condiments under the hot dog.
Nah, dude, you press the hot dog into the slot dog, you cook it, and it all cooks up, and all the edges get crispy. Then you put your condiments on and it. Yep.
As stupid as that is, it's still, my mouth is watering.
It still makes you want a hot dog.
But yeah, and given the fact that when I look at the list of things that I'm allowed to eat for the next 5 weeks, the third thing on the list is pureed pasta, then I hate you.
Yikers, bro.
I don't even know, dude.
Damn.
Do I even try that?
No. Well, maybe.
It's like one of those things like you couldn't know.
And it's your one excuse to not be like a maniac for trying it, right?
You know what I think it might actually be good? And this is like one of the most like ghetto meals I ever had as a kid, but egg noodles with ketchup are actually unbelievable for some reason. Like I won't have ketchup on like ziti. That's like
yeah.
For some reason, egg noodles with ketchup actually taste good. I have a feeling that like egg noodles with a little bit of ketchup. You put too much ketchup, it's gonna be disgusting. A little bit of ketchup in the blender? I don't know, dude. I'm trying. Listen. I'm so, bro. I had mashed potatoes, and I was rock hard for mashed potatoes today. That's how desperate I am right now with food. I would
try it if I try it. You know, you got to. I'm a texture guy, so something blended up is not gonna work for me. But it could be good. I mean,
what do you eat that with, a spoon?
Yes, like, definitely not a straw. Definitely not a straw.
Oh,
you gotta go spoon.
I need something. I'm actually like starving right now.
Well, that was it. That was everything. It was a big big Tarkov stuff overall. So that's the thing. So right, like there's things like the recoil rework that's like, ugh. There's things like the armor hitbox that's just like, oh, how is that going to work? The leaderboard scuffed. By and large, however, I'm super excited. They showed video of tons of things. They seemed super confident. We now know when the patch is. It's going to be August for anybody wondering. I mean, probably late August, but whatever. It's going to be August. I like that they split up the patches split up 0.14 into like a quality of life wipe, and then a new mechanic wipe. We're going to get arena sometime this year. He like basically promised that we were going to get it this year. So call it whatever, right? I'm huffing copium, XYZ. In my opinion, the overall vibe, even through the recoil, like even people that were like absolutely dumpstering the recoil on Twitter were also like, that was a pretty good podcast. So like they're pushing the ball, they're rolling it towards finishing the game, or at least getting all these mechanics in. Super excited for the Streets expansions and that. So yeah, so next few weeks, we'll probably see some events ramp up, some more Chronicles of Rishi stuff. We're going to get a wipe sometime in August, and we'll see. But so yeah, so the podcast was good. We haven't had an event in like forever, so I imagine we'll get some events soon. So, yep.
I'll have to tell you about all the Diablo drama next week.
Oh, I want to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Big, massive 1.1 patch came out, and the season started. And
well, you know, I took it as an interesting when I hopped in, you were playing chess, not Diablo. So does that?
Well, yeah, that was only because it was like 8:30. The game crashed. It was like 5:30, and I'm like, I guess I'll just play chess
until Jesse hops in. Okay,
yeah.
okay. I thought I was like,
no, I'm loving Diablo.
Okay, okay.
It's great.
Well, yes, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next time. But so yeah, thank you guys for hanging. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this episode. What day is it? It's Saturday. This will be live Monday morning still, but I just don't know what day of the week it is. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging, and we'll definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.